All right. Are we on? Are we on? I think so. What's up, everybody? As you arrive, I'm just going to give you a quick little summary of what's to come so you can get excited. And then I'm going to dip out for a quick second while I play a video, which is right here. And so if you were with me a minute ago, I mean, there was like, I don't know, some people were hanging out with me a minute ago, and I was streaming. And because I was switching gears, I decided to start a new stream. And there's probably ways of doing that where you keep the people who are already there in the chat with you. Maybe I'm being a boomer. I don't know. But listen, it doesn't matter. The people who care enough will come over here, and that's all that matters. So what are we going to be doing today? Well, Lurker got me talking about reading, and Lurker is just the name of somebody who was in the chat, has been having trouble with reading, paying attention, finishing things. And so I kind of started getting on my soapbox about reading, and it's actually relevant to what we'll be getting into. So we're not just doing a book review, or sorry, a meme review today, which is something that's going to be a lot of fun to do anyway. But we're also doing this whole thing on HYBRITERACY, which is a really obnoxious neologism. A neologism means a word you made up. But I made it up just because it's about hybrid literacy. Hybriteracy. So sorry, but fuck you if you care. All right, so check it out. I'm gonna play this video. It'll give you, I think, a pretty good understanding of where I'm coming from with this whole hybridity. I can't even fuck it. It's a terrible neologism because I can't even say it. Hybriteracy. Yeah, what's so hard about that? Hybriteracy. So anyway, it'll get into that, and then I'll come right back after it's over. And we'll chit-chat about it. For some people, actually, there's someone in the comments of this video who's like, oh, you've talked about this on a bunch of streams already. Nice to have it all in one spot. Yeah, I'm not going to stop talking about it in streams. I'm going to talk about it every time I stream for the rest of my life. So, here we go. So you want to read. You care about reading. You believe that it's important. You know that just watching videos isn't going to cut it. You know that just listening to things isn't enough. You know that just following influencers and curators of opinion isn't going to cut it. You have an interest in reading. Why? Because you ultimately want to understand things in a deeper way. You want to go a lot further than the surface. And it seems like that's probably the way to do it. Well, yeah, if you want a systematic, comprehensive understanding of the world, and if you want to grapple with the kinds of concepts necessary to even begin getting that basis in the life of the mind, well, then you've come to the right place, I tell you. Not because I have the answers, but because I'm going to lay out for you really quick, this will be the shortest video ever, just some quick tips on what I think is necessary and incumbent on working thinkers, right? Organic intellectuals. And when I say organic, I don't just mean like eating like organic tomatoes and thinking, but like organic intellectual in the sense that we're not like institutional intellectuals. We're not like organic tomatoes groomed by the power to become like the sort of mouthpieces and sort of shepherds of thought in this society. No, we're people on the ground who are having to figure out life, and we come to philosophy and theory because the concepts, the ideas, it's all basically like where it's at. Like, ultimately, you can disagree with every single fucking person you read in philosophy and theory, and you are welcome to, and if you're not, then there's a problem with you. But you're not going to be able to think yourself outside of the ruts of average everydayness if you're not working through concepts and the life of the mind. And so, all this talk of like, oh, well, you got to think about other perspectives. Yep, well, perspectives are fucking bullshit if they're not, like, conceptual, right? There's no such thing as a perspective that's non-conceptual that could be conveyed through anything besides, let's say, a story. But our lives are saturated in stories. There's stories everywhere. What we lack is concepts. And so you want to read theory. You want to read theory that will begin helping you make sense of things. Okay, so maybe you care about the environment, or you're working with troubled youth in a secondary school, like an alternative school, or maybe you are working with kids that are challenged in some other way. Okay, I just listed off 3 examples of 3 people in my life in the last week who've asked me questions along a certain kind of line, or have raised a certain kind of concern when I go off on my rant about, well, it's not exactly a rant, but I get excited about what I'm doing. And if you are most people who follow this channel, like, you're not exactly in the know with what I'm doing most of the time. Most of the time, I'm not on YouTube, but I have been working 3 jobs, and I just quit one today. And 2 of those jobs, the ones that I am keeping, allow me to listen to audiobooks. Now, I've been listening to audiobooks since I was a kid, so I have an edge on most people when it comes to audiobooks. But I didn't listen to, like, difficult books. I listened to storybooks like Harry Potter, or like the shit my parents would listen to. I remember, like, I don't know, anybody who grew up in a evangelical Christian like household back in the day probably heard Adventures in Odyssey. Like, I heard that stuff on the radio growing up. It's basically stories, right? And it's easy enough to follow along if it's kind of operating at like a 5th grade comprehension level. But the concern that people typically raise when I'm talking about audiobooks, because my listening comprehension when it comes to audiobooks has gone up from like pre-college to post-college in a year. And that's because in my lowest point of sort of depressive hedonia, when dealing with like the COVID stuff and not having a job and everything like that, when I had writer's block and I couldn't be writing my book, and I had like all of these books that I was like, I technically have the time to be researching these right now, but I don't have the energy, I don't have the attention span. I sit there and I try to read and I want to kill myself. This isn't going to happen, fuck off. And so I was like playing Minecraft or like Stardew Valley or so whatever. And I was like, you know what, because I listened to articles. I've been listening to articles for a while using that Pocket app. And, I just like, whenever I see an article online, I use the little Chrome extension to like save that article. And then like later walking between buildings or whatever, I'd listen to that article. And my mentality with articles at the time was like, look, I don't even read most articles that I see online in their entirety. I usually like look at the beginning, kind of get a sense for like, what is this about? Is it really important? And so I figured I don't really have anything to lose if when I come across an article in the wild, like bookmark it for later and then listen to it when walking between buildings. There's really nothing to lose, because what's going to happen? Worst case scenario, I go, oh, there's too much here, I'm not really following along, but it sounds important, so I better read it. Or, doesn't seem like something that I care about, and then I just go on my way. Okay, and so that saved me a lot of time and a lot of distraction online, because back in the day it's like, I see this article now, I better look at it now, right? And so I've kind of taken out that, I need to look at it immediately factor, and that's been very helpful. But when I was sitting there all depressed and playing games and not knowing what to do, because I just really could not force myself to read books like Time, Labor, and Social Domination by Moishe Pistone, or just the Marx's Grand Reso, or Durr's The Invention of the White Race, Renewing Black Intellectual History. Like, these are just some of the books that I was tuning into last year, as well as like some of the more popular topical books that people were I'm not going to talk about those ones right now. Point being, there's all these books that I wasn't able to get through that I really wanted to be getting through. And so I was like, you know what, worst case scenario is that if I listen to these for like weeks on end, maybe I'll get maybe I won't get anything out of it at all. Worst case scenario, I won't get anything out of it at all. Okay, well, that's fine. I'm fine with not getting anything out of it at all, because I'm not doing anything anyway. That was kind of my mentality. Okay, well, on the other end of that though, I started getting a lot out of it, and then I quickly realized that if it's my dumb brain thinking the same bullshit thoughts over and over and over and over again, as opposed to injecting it with a little something new and giving myself like a little taste of whatever it is that I'm interested in, go with that, right? What's the worst that could happen, right? Like that was like a sort of the beginning of a mentality shift. That's not even quite where we're going with this. With my tips, with my advice. But this little experience got me to the point now where I'm listening to so many different books at once, and working through all these different things all the time. Oh my God, I'm planning on putting out a thing on a couple of like readers that I think are important, like, collections of works. And I'm doing all of this like literature review while working, splitting firewood and, doing landscaping work and yard work and all this stuff, driving between places. This is crazy. The fact that I can listen to Time, Labor, and Social Domination, a super dense book, and get a lot out of it, means something. But more importantly, when there's parts that don't seem important, they don't really stick in my head. The parts that seem important are the parts that like seem relevant to what I'm up to. And so like I end up being like, oh, you know, like it's kind of stuck in my head. Like I heard something from that book. What was it? You know, and it's related to this thing that I'm thinking about. And then I go and I can pull up the PDF and I can word search that document for exactly like the part that I'm looking for, just using words that I think might have been there. And I've already kind of heard that part, and now I like actually sit there and I read it, and now I'm like getting into the meat of it. Okay, just so you know, scholars have never just approached a book like it needs to be read from beginning to end, and then once it's completed, they move on to the next thing after completing an exam. But that is what schooling has taught everybody, apparently, that they need to do, and how they need to treat books. Okay, so the kinds of concerns that people raise when I'm talking about the importance of listening to audiobooks are like, for instance, someone yesterday was like, oh, you know, I tried to listen to this one thing, but I kept getting distracted. And I was like, huh, that's what the 30 seconds back button is for on Audible, because like they were using Audible. And, you know, like she laughed about that or whatever. But I was like, no, seriously though, there's something more important. And this is the first tip. It's about a mentality shift. It's away from consumerism, and it's away from exam. So first one I have is let go of the narcissism of passing the exam. It ain't about you. It's not about you receiving a grade and either advancing or not advancing based on how you do, on how well you recall. It's not about that. If you read something, you might not understand it until a year later when some connections go off, and then you're like, did I get that from that one book? And then you'll go back to it, and then you'll get way more out of it than you would have if you had not done that. Okay, so that let go of the narcissism of passing the exam. This whole like linear start to finish, must complete before moving on to the next thing, and it's all done like this is the banking model of education, as Paulo Freire talks about. It's bullshit. Okay, like if that is a legitimate learning style and it's absolutely necessary for like somebody out there, then my fucking apologies. But the schooling system is obviously working in your favor. Not most people, because most people aren't reading and most people are hyper distracted. And I think it's not just because, oh, we live in a distraction economy and we have smartphones and more people all the time have ADD and ADHD. And no, yes, those are, that's a part of it. Yeah, absolutely. But I think that we also develop learning blocks and self-defeating mental mindsets when approaching mental mindsets. That's redundant. But yeah, we self-defeating mindsets about certain kinds of things when approaching, for instance, stuff that has been pushed on us in educational environments. Okay, and so that's like the narcissism of passing the exam side. The other side you have to let go of is the consumerism of linear completion. Let go of the consumerism of linear completion. You buy the book, and then you go, oh, I need to read that. I bought it, now I need to read it. And once I read it, then I will have it. Like it's putting something inside of you and now it's yours. That's not what textual life is about. That's not how scholars in the history of writing and reading have ever approached the written word. It is a modern invention. It is a way to make workers dumb, programmable, little fucking unthinking idiots like I've been my whole life. All right? I'm still one. I'm not saying I'm better than that, but I'm saying that I'm trying to dig myself out of a hole that I've been in for a long time when it comes to a lot of my learning blocks and self-defeating thought patterns. Okay? And I think that this is a really big factor. Okay. I have a list here. What's next? Yeah. We have this idea that if it's worth doing, then it's worth doing right. Yeah, well, if it's worth doing twice. That's my comeback to that. So, the idea with a book, like, oh, if it's worth doing right. Okay, I'm going to wait until there's no distractions. I will have a perfectly quiet library, or I will find the perfect ambiance in a coffee shop, or I will find like an afternoon with 7 hours. Fuck off. Me, myself, like that expectation that I've always had can fuck off. If you have that too, that expectation, fuck off. Let go of it. It's so frustrating. It's so frustrating when you realize that that's been like it's like a binder that's been put on your brain, like blinders. That I hate that audio though. I don't know if anybody's hearing that audio, but I hate that. I don't like it. Also, I don't know. I look funny compared to myself right now. I don't know. It's so funny how different I look in every one of my videos. Totally cognitive dissonance to be like on here on stream and like looking at myself, and it's like I look so different in every video. Like I just had a beard like 2 months ago. I've got a mustache thing going on right now. Like what the fuck? But I've been having a lot of fun experimenting. I've been my buddy, probably actually my oldest friend Robert. He said, "Well, you've been experimenting with your identity your whole life, Dave." It's true. But ego and identity are like, these are experiences and signals that we send out, as opposed to subjectivity and understanding your subjectivity and ideology and these other kinds of things. And so it's like, I'm more interested in that shit. Identity's just like whatever, dude. All right, so let's do this. And I realize it's not that way for everybody. Some people, it's not so easy or fun. And it's not always fun, trust me. Because that's part of the problem. Is I've described it as, there's ways of dressing where I can blend with the world. And then there's ways of dressing that make other people feel different ways. And it's weird. It's weird to think about it that way. But I feel like style and fashion, it's like it affects people so much. And it's like, I just don't ever feel at home in the world, or like when I'm in a social scene, it's like, hey, there's people I love to see, I love to hang out, but I don't know, I don't believe in normal. I don't feel normal. Nothing's normal about anything ever for me. And so it's like, it's funny that you can like dress in a way that like makes you like almost imperceptible in some ways. It's fucking crazy. Gender is trippy to me. So what's up, chat? Who's here? Let's see. So L said number 2. And I know that you're listening to this and wondering, what the fuck? Why would L in the chat? Why would L say number 2? Well, that's because you didn't read my pinned message, because you're probably busy working or playing a video game. And so it says, yo, if you're going to be AFK, which means away from keyboard, a lot during the stream, just take a sec to tell me you're here and what you're up to. Press 1 if playing games, 2 if working, and if neither, please elaborate. Thanks. So L is number 2, which is working. Yeah, well, you're homeworking, aren't you? I should have made working. If you're doing homework, or if you're pushing a broom like River Ransom, either way you're working. Marvin is also working. Anne is also working, except that she's not at work. She's not getting paid to be doing what she's doing, but she's, producing value in the sense of like making food to survive. Providing for her own means of subsistence. I mean, she's not completely providing for it. I mean, her wages have made it so that she can, yes, have the ingredients to now provide for her or satisfy her basic necessities. That's what she's up to. Soda Cabbage is like, I'm here. And then said neither. So neither 1 nor 2. Might chat if I'm up to it. Sick. Cool. Well, welcome. I mean, don't feel the need to. I don't like lurk culture. But as long as you've introduced yourself, I don't really consider you a part of lurk culture. Right? As long as you've introduced yourself, you're not a lurker. But if you're watching this and you don't introduce yourself at some point, I mean, here's the thing: you don't owe me one if you've just stopped by for like a minute. You know what I mean? You don't owe me shit. But if you're like hanging out and then you don't like say hello, what's up? I'm from wherever and I'm like having this kind of a week and I'm doing this kind of shit, then it's like, well, then who the fuck are you? Why would I want to hear you talk in the chat? Or why would, it's kind of like, look, if you're like a lecturer at a university, there's 2 kinds of classes. There's the kind of class where you actually get to know your students, and then there's a class where you don't, because you've got such a big class. But then people still come to your, like office hours and stuff like that, if they wanna, or they can like ask questions during the thing, or you can call on people sometimes or whatever. But like, this is a different situation. You're kind of in my bedroom, and I'm not a professor, and I don't want to be, and so, but I mean, nothing against. Well, I've got problems with the university, but I owe it a sort of symbolic debt in a sense as well, because it's the only place you can fucking go to right now to get certain experiences, because there's a sort of hostage crisis in the neoliberal university, which is that the liberal arts is largely contained to the university. But, you know, obviously the internet is pretty cool in some ways. It's got some problems as well, you know, but it's allowing for a different way of educating ourselves. And we get to do it with other people. And so we've got people who are streamers, and then we've got people who are video essayists, and then we've got people who are kind of like video essayists, but really they just hold like a cup of coffee or tea and sit here and talk about a movie that they've been thinking about and tell you about why they like it, you know. Or they talk about a movie that's weird. They're like, this movie's weird. Fucking weird movie. And I'm over here, I'm like, all right. Interesting. I find this so interesting for some reason. Someone's telling me about a fucking movie. They've got opinions about it. I have no idea who they are. No idea. But they're telling me about it and I'm interested in it, you know. And so there's different ways that people are hanging out on here, and different ways that is educational content or experiences, efforts, productions, and then ways that it's not, and ways that it becomes like a really negative like pattern of thought and of relating to other people. And I think that the main way it becomes negative is when you've cultivated a demographic that is like so insular, but also so polarized, and just like so like they're like, because your content is actually built around like antagonizing in various ways or starting shit, you know. I imagine that psychologically speaking, some kind of a dynamic could occur that could eventually become kind of toxic. So, but I think people get like really defensive or like scared, you know, when they're online all the time. And so you get like streamers who are like Vosh, Destiny, Hassan Piker, who are a couple other ones? Come on, people. Xanderhall, Demon Mama, Jackson Hinkle. These people are cool, interesting, fun, dope, fresh, you know, but they are all streaming like 6 hours a day, 4 days a week. They are hanging out with thousands of people like who are constantly talking to them, constantly reacting like instantly to fucking everything they say, and they just believe that they have this huge responsibility to fucking win at what they're doing, to make the people who are giving them all this money like proud. And it's like, to me, it's like a fucking it's like a trip. I feel like psychologists should be studying what's going on here. This is interesting. This has never happened before. No one's had this dynamic before, where like they're talking for 6 hours a day, 4 days a week, with thousands of people there for it, and also like constantly responding. If you're a professor who's like lecturing to thousands of people, you don't see like, it's because that's the weird thing. It's like you're not seeing the people's thoughts there in the stream. You're seeing what they want you to they're sending you meanings through signifiers, and those signifiers are what you're viewing. It's a little different when like you've got a room full of people, you're not reading their thoughts, and they're not giving you constant feedback. It's like at church, you collect the money at the end of the sermon. Can you imagine if a pastor was like taking $5, $20, $50, $100, $500, $50, and constantly like is talking about Matthew 15 chapter, verse 5, and then is all of a sudden just like, thank you to Ann Snowgrove for the donation, the tithe, of $200, and everyone's like, yeah. It's just weird. It's a weird dynamic. It's so fucking weird to watch it, to have participated in it to some degree, but to have never really like done it. I only really did it for Free the Plebe. Release the plebe and YouTube walkout, and that's like the only things I did it for until I had my YouTube channel back, and then I moved, and then I streamed a few more times, but it was like I wasn't doing it the same way anymore. I only did that when I had to. I didn't like it. I can't imagine doing it. I'm not jealous of people who do it a lot, but I also want to stream still. You know, I want to be able to stream still. But it's like, it's just interesting. So what we're talking about education and the way that people are educating themselves, and the ways that sometimes that gets in the form of the medium or the lifestyle that it creates, the habit is like gets in the way eventually. And then there's the video essayists. Who are the video essayists? Does anyone have any video essayists in mind you want to share in the chat? Video essayists. And then I'm going to read off some comments in the chat. Video essayists. Who are some video essayists besides ContraPoints? I guess at this point, Philosophytube. Philosophytube started out in front of a bookcase and then got into big productions. Essays. I mean, essays, documentaries. It really, like a lot of these, and we're talking hour, 2 hour things. You know, these are really amazing works of art. And propaganda as well. Which has also, you know, it's all right. Can be really useful, can be very important, but can also get in its own way. As a form of education that gets in its own way. All right, so Soda Cabbage says, I'm from MT. Is MT Montana? Just got off work and kind of lounging. Cool. Welcome. Glad that you're off work. Are you like full of energy and like looking to do something, but you don't know what you want to go do? Or are you like exhausted and now you're just like, I don't know, I'm just chilling? Theorytube much more mature than Breadtube. Oh, Soda Cabbage says Theorytube much more mature than Breadtube. Oh my fucking god. Oh my god. Theorytube. So much more mature. And broke. So much more mature and broke than Breadtube. And so people who don't know what Breadtube is, the term was coined by American Johnson of Non-Compete, I believe husband of Luna Oy. They both live in Vietnam. Luna Oy is a Vietnamese woman, and American Johnson is a handsome American expat moved to Vietnam, and they make fantastic content. You should check it out. But also, they get roiled up in the moment with the stuff sometimes. And the thing is like they are, I think, a lot more careful. They try not to, like, they're not like hanging out over like thousands of people all the time. Like I feel like are a little bit more restrained than some people who stream a lot. But you know, they stream, but they also put out like video essays and stuff like that. But anyway, American coined the term Breadtube, and it's basically anarchist tube. Bread means Kropotkin, but people use the term to mean social democrats, anarchists, communists, all the things. And so when I was listing off that list of names of debate bro streamers, as they get called, sometimes pejoratively, sometimes lovingly, some people would call that Breadtube, other people would not. Some people think Breadtube is pretty much video essayists. Different people use this word in different ways, sometimes negatively. Apparently, Breadtube is like, what's the name of Maupin's book? I forgot. But anyway, there's a book about about Breadtube that says that basically Breadtube is like aids imperialism or works in service of imperialism. And, I mean, I haven't read it, so I can't really say. I watched somebody else flipping through pages and talking shit, And for a minute, I was convinced that that was like, you know, enough to go off of. But because other people have said, no, you just need to actually read it, I go, okay, I'll give you that. I mean, here's the thing. It doesn't really matter if Breadtube is like serves imperialism or not. Like there's plenty of Breadtubers who do not like imperialism. It doesn't matter. We're on the internet right now. The internet. To talk about like doing leftism in a lot of cases on the internet is like talking about robbing a bank while hanging out in the police department lobby. So, you know, people are rightfully paranoid. In the video essayist side of things, people are very, very restrained. Very, like, they read off of teleprompters in, like, most cases. And then they talk about, like, oh, this person says a word I don't like, or, oh, this person does this or does that. Shut the fuck up. That person's hanging out into the open all the time, so I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's healthy to hang out into the open all the time. And the kind of skin that you have to grow and the way that you have to act, it's probably not the best, you know. But people who talk a lot of shit and then hide behind teleprompters are fucking funny. But the thing is like, a person also who does that in a lot of cases, and I want to be fair here, also believes that they have a tremendous responsibility to not fucking get it wrong unnecessarily, like to do their research, to source their material. You get some way more rigorous shit from people who actually read on the essay side of things. So it's just like, okay, you've got people like ContraPoints and Philosophytube and Thought Slime. Peter Coffin. There's a few others. I mean, there's a bunch of other ones. People in chat, are you more of a fan of Essayists side of the things? Either, okay, because there's two things. Breadtube, Theorytube. So, are you in both? Do you watch stuff in Theorytube and in Breadtube? That's first question that I have for everybody in the chat. Oh, shit. Can I make a poll? I can make a poll in the chat. Hold on. How should I phrase this poll question? Okay. Well, wait. It just says yes or no. Oh, I can add options? And I can title them. Can I change their name? Oh, I can. Okay. I watch Theorytube and Breadtube. I watch Theorytube. I watch Breadtube. And that's the first poll. Just ask your community. Okay. There's probably a better way of asking this question. I'm totally open to taking suggestions. Soda Cabbage says, One Dime is a great video essayist, in my opinion. I really like One Dime. I really like Epoch Philosophy. I really like Janis Cheka. Janis Cheka is also known as, aka, Cuck Philosophy. He will always be Cuck for us, but you know, Janis Cheka is cool. Read his book, it's great. How to Philosophize with a Hammer and Sickle is a good book. That's my review. I actually plan on doing a whole stream or a video essay on this eventually, because unlike people who are wholly committed to only one way, I'm just a person who's trying to experiment with media literacy and expressing myself and educating myself using these things. And I'm very paranoid about being used by these things. So, I think that when I was saying that, you get people who hide behind teleprompters, if it's true, it's literally true. Some of them are probably fucking like straight up FBI, CIA. You never know. 100%. You fucking have an agent, went for a business degree in college, and then like got a job at the FBI and is just doing like, basic, just kind of keeping an eye on things, being a part of the conversation or whatever. It's like, yeah, you take that person, you put them in front of a teleprompter. Okay. You don't tell them not to go off script too much, I have got nothing against video essayists or video essaying, but someone like ContraPoints still does streams. A lot of these people still do streams. I think One Dime and Epoch Philosophy both do podcasts, and do full-length conversations and interviews. Like, I have a podcast where I'm talking with my friend Astrid just to like all these kinds of people in our life, like all over the fucking place. Crazy conversations. I don't know what to make of half of them. And those are like 3-hour conversations, and I just like do it as an exercise, but it's like literally the most exhausting, taxing kind of thing sometimes, because you're talking to people like they're so different, you've never met people like this, and it's stressful, and it's a lot easier to not have long form conversation with like very different kinds of people, it's but I think I'm a part of an emerging thing of people who are having longer form conversations and not doing it because they're trying to be famous. They're just doing it because it's like, it's good to do it. And people are more serious about having a conversation with you when it's like, hey, do you want to have a 3-hour conversation on a podcast? And they go, oh, cool. Like, yeah, we're not going to try to make you look bad. We're just going to hang out and talk, just get to know you. Like, okay, yeah, interesting. Microphones being set up, people act differently, and it's like, okay, you can say, well, they're not being themselves as much. Yeah, but they're also not just fucking off on their phones, staying distracted, like staying at the surface, never getting into real talk. And so, it's like, oh, do you actually have human diversity in your life, or do you just think you do? And because like real diversity would be like real discourse, dialogue. So anyway, this is kind of a meandering like rant about video essayists and streamers and Breadtube and Theorytube, and I was talking about how these things can become vices, these things that are also good. Like, I think it's important. I think everybody should know how to make video essays. I think everybody should know how to use OBS and to be able to stream. OBS is fucking cool. Watch what I can do right now. Watch. Pay attention. Eyes on screen. If you can. If you're working or playing a video game, if you can't duck out for a second, don't worry about it. But watch. If you got eyes on screen, watch this. Boing, boing, boing. Like, what the fuck? Watch this. I can do that. Crazy. Everyone should be able to do that. Everyone should be able to do that. It's just fun to be able to do anything you want. Like, makes it like, so you can like show anything you want, like on a screen. Like, that's amazing, right? Like, that's a really cool kind of technology, and it's literally free. Okay. I love this. OBS is amazing. Everyone should be able to do it. Like, if some people have to make a living like being basically like champion debaters, like world-renowned champion debaters, cool. But like, I'm just saying, as a basic kind of literacy, I don't think everyone should be debating or like streaming their life 6 hours a day, 4 days a week. But I mean, just judging from the city I live close by right now, or the town I live by, Like, a lot of people, I mean, life's not back to normal yet. I don't think people like Zoom very much. And for good reason. I think if people had things like OBS and knew how to make video essays and knew how to stream and knew how to have a conversation with a bunch of other people on stream, you know what I mean? Like, we would have a sort of cultural renaissance. And so even though I do think that talking about the left a lot of times on the internet is like talking about robbing a bank in a police lobby, it's still true that there are really cool technologies at our disposal. All right, so now I'm going to share that question. Marvin says, what's the difference between Theorytube and Breadtube? Oh, that's a good fucking question. Also, there is a new channel that interviews people that theorize what socialism might look like. It's called After the Oligarchy. I'll subscribe to that. That sounds interesting. I like to subscribe to things that sound interesting. I fucking hate the whole idea that anything you follow is an endorsement. I think that is one of the saddest and most despicable memes that one could encounter. Oh, cool. All right, thank you. Yeah, subbed. 490 subscribers. So it's like video essays? Is that the kind of stuff that it is? Here, I'm going to go ahead and ask this question in the poll. Or I'm going to go post this poll is what I meant to say. Poll, ask a question. No, I'm just going to post it. Okay, just like this. All right, in the chat. Pay attention. Is anybody able to see it? Is it going to pop up? Wait a minute. Is AS Warnell? Is that Ashley? Is Ashley here hanging out? For real? That would be really cool. Ashley's actually going to probably get featured tonight in the video that I'm going to show you all. Because everything I've been saying up until now is just like, I wanted to say something controversial. And so I was going to say, like, there's been, like, this debate between, like, the video essayists and the live streamer, like, sides of LeftTube. Okay? And so before I talk too much about the debate, I've got to say, I got to clarify something, because we had a good question in the chat. Oh, by the way, Soda Cabbage said, yeah, I'm chilling. Yes, that's Montana. XD, which is a way of saying big grin. All right. Marvin's from California, grew up in a rural community and moved back here temporarily. Will be in Taiwan soon to live with partner's family for a while. Trying to learn to be better at critical thinking. Are you going to learn Taiwanese? Is that the language that people speak in Taiwan? Taiwanese? Are you going to learn Taiwanese? I fucking hope so. Oh, I learned like 5 words when I was in Thailand, and I'm so ashamed. The same with Belize, same with Argentina. I just never had many words, and I always felt so stupid, and I was like, I deserve this. And so, like, now I spend a lot of time on Duolingo. I might even do some Duolingo tonight. I might do a segment. I might do a Duolingo segment. I might study some Polish tonight. Duolingo. I'm adding the check box to my piece of paper here so I don't forget to do it, because I will forget otherwise. So before we get to the debate, I've got to clarify something. And, folks, at this point, and I have not able to keep up with chat anymore. So if there's anything that I've missed, please just let me know on WhatsApp, and I will play your message over stream. Since you've been along for the ride and you've been paying attention to chat, you can. I'm gonna probably check in on the chat less for a couple of the segments that will be coming up here, and so if you're in chat, just sometimes, every once in a while, you could say hi on WhatsApp, and so that's going to be a thing that people are going to be doing for my streams going forward. My homies hang out in the mod chat. They read chat. They'll be reading the Discord once it's up, and they'll be keeping me in the know about what's going on with all that. But they'll be keeping us in the know, and it'll be their actual voice. It won't just be me reading it, which is pretty sick. And I want to make it so that other people are able to do that as well. So I think that on Discord, I'm going to have a channel where people can use this app that Elle was telling me about. Where you just do voice clips. And so I'd be able to people would be able to send in their voice clips. I'd be able to play them. So then when I ask these kinds of questions, people would be able to respond. By the way, okay, so far the poll, 100% of people are saying I watch Theorytube and Breadtube. But somebody asked what's the difference. And so I'm guessing some of you don't want to even vote until you know the difference. So let me break it down for you. If you're watching me, I don't know which one you're watching right now. In a sort of sense, to talk about something makes you a part of it. But I don't know. Theorytube would be like One Dime. Theorytube would be like Epoch Philosophy. People do not know who these people are. They're missing out. Let's just go to a One Dime video, and I'm going to show you 1 minute of a One Dime video. I'm going to show you the Burnout Society. This is so fucking good. Okay? And so, Ashley, I hope that that's okay. I hope that you're not watching this with all the kids around you at the moment. But yeah, here we go. It's so good. Like, One Dime is so... Here we go.
An article just went super viral on the internet 2 days ago called Gary Vaynerchuk is Trying to Kill You. And it speaks to me glamorizing hard work. He really thinks I'm a bad person. He thinks me talking about work ethic, hustle, is leading to people working too much. Imagine not doing anything fun or going anywhere for the next 8 years, including Saturday and Sunday. That's what I did from 22 to 30. Every day I spent 15 hours a day in a liquor store. Have 4 jobs, Wendy's, Walmart, your side hustle, work.
We have entered a new society of control. One much more intricate than previous epochs and more subtle than the totalitarian dystopias predicted by the likes of George Orwell in novels such as 1984. It is a system not based solely on coercion and force, but rather the voluntary self-exploitation of the masses. It is a new kind of panopticon, in which we are all Big Brother now. The system...
I just realized that this could sound super conspiratorial. If you don't know about One Dime's work, you just are like, oh, okay, this is just like Zeitgeist or something. No. He's just giving you like an intro to Byung-Chul Han's The Burnout Society, basically. This is like, yeah, and so that's what's going on here. And it's oh my God, that book is so good. Speaking of Anne, she was reading it to me. She was reading The Burnout Society to me. And one of these nights, very soon, we'll be reading The Burnout Society over stream for you all. One of these nights very soon. Sometime in the distant future. But anyway, I'm sorry to be interrupting this. I'm going to skip it back slightly just so we can get back on track.
Of the masses. It is a new kind of panopticon, in which we are all Big Brother now. The system no longer relies strictly on top-down authoritarianism. Rather, it is a system reproduced by the citizens themselves. It is a system where citizens are reduced to being consumers and projects of human capital that voluntarily monitor and...
Okay, that's a really good point. So Marvin is like, I missed the graphics of this video. I think I had it playing in the background and only had audio. Yeah, so actually I'm failing you all as a host here. I have a responsibility to keep the people who are stocking shelves and driving trucks and playing Minecraft and or whatever the fuck. I've got a sort of responsibility, if you've got eyes off screen, to communicate to you what is going on the screen. And I kind of forget about that all of the time. Oh, and also, like, let's not forget that there are also people who just like cannot see. And so it's just like, I think it's good to do it. You know, I try to, because I want to be able to take the stuff that I do and put it up on podcasts more often. I want to have a podcast that's more just like, you know, good chunks of streams, basically. I'm trying to develop a form of life here that uses essays and streams and these different things just as tools for like something that doesn't like, oh, you just stay in one, you know. Books are another. Books are another. And they're an important piece of the puzzle. And I'm just trying to figure that one out, right? So, okay. Marvin said, I meant when I listened the first time. I am finished working now. Yeah. Actually figured that. That's what I thought you meant. But I'm still gonna have to explain what's going on here on screen to anybody who can't see it. So really quick, folks, what we're seeing is, like, honestly, mind-blowing graphics. Now, I think One Dime, I don't know if One Dime's like paying like or if it's like a friend who's like a partner in this. I don't really understand but some really, really cool visual effects, video producer person was involved with this. And I'll read their name off before we're done here. But anyway, One Dime writes these things and then also helps edit these things. And sometimes I think One Dime just does his own videos. But anyway, let's get back to it. It's just really stunning visual effects. All right, folks. It's like you think that there must be big money behind this.
Compare each other's work ethic and achievements.
But there's not.
It is a culture where our own voluntary self-exploitation is mistaken for freedom and flexibility, where the distinction between worker and capitalist is becoming ever more ambiguous, as we are both slaves to capital and at the same time, masters of our own exploitation. This particular form of social control is reproduced in many ways, but one of its most acute manifestations is in the social phenomenon we know today as hustle culture, a ubiquitous trend within the niche of New Age self-help which encourages people to take pride in overworking or grinding as much as possible. It makes it cool to brag about working 24/7, not getting proper sleep, and to compare other people based on how productive they appear to be. It drives people to constantly consume rise and grind motivational content, and to subsequently feel as though all of one's hard work and accomplishments are never enough. Hustle culture has a particularly theological quality, in that it replaces the role that Protestant religion once had in
Yeah. So this is a fantastic video, and Epoch Philosophy is also like on that level. I would totally show that right now, but I really want to get back to talking about what we're talking about here, so that I can then get into what I want to show you all. But before we can do that, I want to play a guest of the show. Well, at this point, like a co-host, almost, not quite. I mean, but she has done stuff with me before. And Snellgrove. Let me hop into WhatsApp, and I'm going to play you all out a message that she just sent in. She's the mod in the chat here. Let's see what she had to say. It's loading. And you all can't see that it's loading because it's off screen. Because OBS lets you share whatever windows or screens you want to share from your computer. Kind of like how you can do that on Zoom, but way better. Way freaking better. Way better. I don't know if anybody understands how much better, but very seriously. All right, here we go. I'm going to play Anne's 1 minute and 32 second message here, and I'm going to play it at normal speed. Wait. I can't hear anything. Nobody can hear anything, right? And does it actually work? Let's see.
What's up? This is a chat recap. First of all, you did not read my comment where I bragged about the dinner that I made, and I need that validation. I made delicious bow tie pasta with roasted grape tomatoes, broccoli, sun-dried tomatoes, dill and parsley, and slivered almonds, and wow, it was really good. Who else have we got in here? We've got Marvin and Soda.
Whoa, 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 whoa. First of all, okay, I want to react to that in a second, but why won't it work over this? Why, when I try to play it here, maybe this is the problem. Here, let's try it now.
Waka waka.
Okay, now I got it. Now we're going to play it properly. I was playing it from my phone because I didn't know what to do, but I'm going to go ahead and just replay that because that was great. That was great. That was awesome. All right, let's do it. And Anne also just sent me a message that says that she just realized that when we're going to be up in North Idaho, we're going to have a DVD player there. So we'll be able to keep watching Twin Peaks because we borrowed, like, all Twin Peaks everything from my buddy Bert. And so, oh man, where is it? I think it must be with Anne. I don't know, maybe it's somewhere in here, but anyway, it's like this really cool box, and it's got all the seasons on disc for Twin Peaks, also the movie, also a bunch of behind the scenes stuff. And so we've been watching that. We were just up in North Bend. I'll show you some footage of that here in a minute. So that's pretty exciting. I get to show you some footage of that. It's like a vlog stream. It's like a debate stream. It's like a Breadtube stream. It's like a Theorytube stream. I still have to explain what the difference between those two things is. And, you know, I'll get to the difference between those two things and then kind of the debate around essays versus streams in a minute. But I'm going to play our favorite mod and Snellgrove, and we're going to play it at the proper volume, not off of my phone.
Waka waka, what's up? This is a chat recap. First of all, you did not read my comment where I bragged about the dinner that I made, and I need that validation.
This is incredible what we're about to hear. This is like the last curry that I made. I dropped so much money at like 3 different stores because I wanted to make this specific curry that this person made on YouTube. And a lot of the ingredients were cheap, but some of them were really expensive. And I also made enough to feed an army. Let's not forget that. I made it for my birthday mini conference. Anyway, it was good on the first go around, and then the second, when I made a lot more of it for everybody, I messed up some of the ingredients and it tasted, I think, awful, terrible. I totally fucked it up. Anyway, so it sounds like Anne had one of those kinds of evenings. Whipping in the kitchen. Let's hear her go through the list here. By the way, I need whipping in the kitchen as a button on my Stream Deck. So I have to actually get the sound effects on my Stream Deck fixed because they were all there. Then something happened and now nothing's where it was supposed to be. So gonna have to get that figured out. But here we go. Let's find out what Anne put into this amazing meal.
I made delicious bow tie pasta with roasted grape tomatoes, broccoli, sun-dried tomatoes, dill and parsley, and slivered almonds, and wow, it was really good. Who else have we got in here? We've got Marvin and Soda Cabbage and A.S. Warnell. And Ashley Warnell said, "Hi, the kids laughed and said they didn't know you knew any cuss words." So I wouldn't be surprised if Ashley turned off the live stream because of the cursing. I don't know what their perspective is on that. And yeah, we had some people introducing themselves. A couple people mentioned some.
Hold on, Ashley, are you still in the chat? Fuck. Maybe I should start streaming in a way where kids could watch it. That's a hard one. Because, I just haven't really thought about it before. I mean, I have thought about it before. But, like, what if I did, you know? Anyway, that totally kind of derailed me. It's kind of a distraction. But it's an important question, and I'll find out the answer to it later. Because, if Ashley would watch, but can't because she's always around the kids, and they're not trying to... Here's a better way of saying it. If Ashley was just going to just do it anyway, even if she was, like, okay with it or not, like, if I knew the kids were overhearing, how different would it be? So, because I live at a place right now where there's like 6 kids, and Ashley and Ben are the parents, and it's a really, really, really cool family. I love living here. Really, really cool setup. And I'll be showing you some footage. You'll see at least some of them today on stream, actually. But it's like I never really thought about the kids like watching me on this channel. Like I know that they'll like see me elsewhere, but I didn't realize that they might see me on this channel. So that was like kind of took me for a loop there. But we'll go back to Anne here.
YouTube channels that came to mind when you asked the question. I said Philosophytube and Peter Coffin. Marvin said This is Revolution and Second Thought. Soda Cabbage said One Dime. Marvin said Yugo Pnick. After the Oligarchy was another one. And then Marvin just said that they speak some Chinese or Mandarin. Maybe that was a clarifying. So that's what's been going on.
Cool. Good. Marvin also said, I would say maybe specific streams that are kid-friendly. You are so wise. I think that's a perfect idea. Really quick, roots of change. I know we're gonna get right back to it, okay? But we're gonna take a break. We're gonna take a quick little break here, okay? Oh shit! I just realized something. I've been recording this whole time. Do you see that, everybody, on the screen there? I've been recording on Audacity for 10 hours. Stop recording. Zoom out. So for people who aren't able to see what's going on here on screen, Audacity is a audio recording software. It's kind of like an app, but it just lets you record anything you want. And it has been recording everything going on, which is fine. I mean, it's good. It's redundant because I already am recording it on OBS, but it's cool as there is backup. Listen. This is what I was recording earlier.
144. After virtue already had the form of dramatic narrative, and indeed the form of one specific type of dramatic narrative. Hence I take it also that the difference between the heroic account of the virtues and the Sophoclean amounts precisely to a difference over what narrative form captures best the central characteristics of human life and agency. And this suggests an hypothesis, that generally to adopt a stance on the virtues will be to adopt a stance on the narrative character of human life. Why?
Okay, interesting. Kind of throwing us into the middle there, right? It's kind of difficult to understand anything that you just heard. This will make more sense.
Log. After virtue after a quarter of a century. If there are good reasons to reject the central theses of after virtue, by now I should certainly have learned what they are. Critical and constructive discussion in a wide range of languages, not only English, Danish, Polish, Spanish, Portuguese, French, German, Italian, and Turkish, but also Chinese and Japanese, and from a wide range of standpoints has enabled me to reconsider and to extend the inquiries that I began in After Virtue and continued in U7 Hose Justice, U7 Hick Rationality, 3 Rival Ver-
All right. So this is a really, really interesting book where I think his name's Alistair McIntyre is like taking to task like everybody in academia and philosophy, and he's kind of focusing on analytic and phenomenological camps, and he's saying that basically none of their opinions or any of the shit that they have to say about virtue has anything to do with anything real, and or basically just that everything that they do, like, or have to say, or the ways in which that they appropriate concepts developed by either like Aristotle or Aquinas, or if they critique these things, people like in the field, from analytic to phenomenological schools of philosophy, have no idea what they're talking about. And so it's a boss-ass book, it's a mind-blowing book, it's a groundbreaking book, and it changed the world. So it's one that I've been paying attention to, that I've been flirting with, that I've gone on a couple of dates with this book. I am being thoroughly mindfucked by this book, actually. It's ravishing. So, like, see, that's the thing. I can't say that shit if I know that there's kids listening. Don't let kids listen to this. Well, I mean, if it's fine if they're like not innocent or like in the sort. But if you're trying to like, if you're like, oh no, I don't want them to hear about that. It's your own judgment. I just want you to know, I'm not going to stop. So anyway, After Virtue. Speaking of which, he's the dad of the family that we're talking about right now. And he's reading After Virtue with a couple of my favorite people in the Dead Parrots Philosophical Society in Boise. And so, yeah, it's actually like a spin-off reading group from the Dead Parrots Philosophical Society. The spin-off group is just like 3 people that have been, each one of them takes a turn saying what they're going to read next. And they've just been going hard. And it's really interesting because one is like a super progressive Christian philosopher guy. When I say progressive, I also mean like socialist. And then one is more of a traditionalist, kind of former libertarian, kind of, I don't fucking know anymore, Christian philosopher guy. And then one is a meta-modern, he's not a new atheist in the sense of like part of new atheism, but he's like thoroughly over church at this point and is into meta-modernism. And meta-modernism's dope and interesting. And that guy and I are going to be taking a 4-week course on meta-modernism coming up here in like a week. It starts, and Anne is going to be joining in on that, and so that's going to be a great time, and I'll tell you all about it as it goes on, so you'll get to know about that. People, what's meta-modern? We can't get into those weeds. I haven't even talked about what the difference is between Theorytube and Breadtube yet, so I can't get too out there in the weeds. Now that Anne updated us all, and we know about this amazing meal that she prepared, and sounds so good. And I'm so proud. That's awesome. Good job. Now that we've kind of covered all of that ground, I said I'd play a segment of Duolingo. I also said that we were going to do I was going to show you a few of the clips from North Bend, and also, I mean, part of the stream's name is hybridicity or whatever. Gosh, it's a terrible neologism that I just made up. Well, that's the definition of a neologism, is that you just made it up. But yeah, hybridicity. No, not hybridicity. What is it? How did I say it? Oh God, I forgot my own word. Here we go. So literacy. This is so annoying. I know. I'm sorry, everybody. And hybrid. So yeah, I take out the D and the LI. Okay, so it's HYBRITERACY. I hate it. HYBRITERACY. I hate it too. I hate it as much as you do. But, talking about video essays and streams, HYBRITERACY is fucking using multiple kinds of media to communicate with people, all right? Books and videos, streams, podcasts, But it's knowing how to write a poem, knowing how to write a video essay, like knowing how to like develop yourself, critique all of these forms of media. And when I say critique them, I don't mean like critique the fact that people are saying dumb things through these forms of media, but I mean like understanding the way that these forms of media are change the messenger. They change the message, and they work within structures and systems that cannot be understood just by, I don't know, only being literate in like one form of media or 2 forms of media. And, to be fair, I would also think that you should be able to code your own website and all these other things that I can't do. And I would also think that you should be able to speak at like 5 to 15 languages like I can't do. But hybrideracy is like, there used to be people called polymaths. They were also called gentlemen. They were people who had leisure time. They were part of a ruling class that had what was called an aristocracy or a nobility. And some of them were just fuck-offs. But, some of them were like really, really into this shit. And the dream is to be able to still have that, but for the workers. So that the people who think that they hoard the knowledge and virtue in society and need to tell us how to live will look stupid in comparison to just your average person. And then, it'll just like raise the overall like level, not just of the working class, but like of society. But I think genuinely, as technology gets better, we'll all be like, oh, you know how like there's like this distinction between like manual labor and shit jobs and like desk jobs, bullshit jobs, that there's entire sectors of the economy where the jobs are like parasitic fucking bullshit, making up value at other people's expense, like that those things could be eliminated and we could just fucking, I don't know, like redistribute the shit work and just like all be polymaths or friends with polymaths, which is really just a polymath. What's poly? Multiple. What's math? I mean, it really means like fields in this kind of context. It means like being proficient in like lots of different fields. It's just like what people with actual privilege have always done. But in capitalism, those people have to do meetings all day, and so they don't even have time and energy. So, yeah. Anne said, "Oh, Dip, I just realized how late it is, and I have to work at 4 a.m. tomorrow. Oh, shit, it's almost 10. She said, "I'm going to dip out so I can start winding down. Fun hanging out. See you all soon." See y'all soon. Marvin and Soda Cabbage said, "Bye," and "Good night, Anne," with a smiley face. Emojis are good. All right, so... God, I didn't realize when I was doing this I'd have to give a definition of Theorytube, but a lot of people on Breadtube don't know the difference between political theory and critical theory / continental philosophy, and so, that's kind of the difference. And so, like, they talk about theory, but they're talking about Lenin and Mao, because they're just, they're leftists, and so they're like, that's the area of theory that they're reading in. That they're interested usually primarily in action and revolution or something like that, or they are policy wonks and doing like commentary on like current events, and this is all legitimate and interesting, and I'm there for it. But though I've done it, and I kind of did it for Bernie and stuff like that, it's like I don't see myself as someone who will ever do that as my norm. Like the Humanist Report and Jackson Hinkle having their like they're talking shit about each other, and it's like there's a sort of spectrum painted there between sort of like a news person and a sort of like edgy debate bro, and it's like I don't even know where am I fucking going with this. I guess what I'm trying to say is I legitimately just lost my train of thought. What they're doing is not theory in the sense like if you go to college, you study, if you do debate, or if you go to college and you do sociology, you go to college, you get into philosophy people even like they know what theory is, like they know people who are into theory, but then you got like literary criticism people, in English classes, and they're reading Derrida and Foucault. Okay, what is that? It's radical, man. It's radical, but it's not the same thing as like reading Lenin and Mao. So what's going on here? And some people will be like, well, yeah, actually the CIA liked the fact that people were reading Derrida and Foucault, and the CIA was relieved and thought, oh, this is actually good. Yeah, why not? And universities in the United States were like, oh yeah, let's just give them like, tours through universities in the United States so that everybody in literary criticism classes and in doing debate in high school will be like referencing these guys or Baudrillard or whatever. And it's like, yeah, there's an article, I read it, I don't know if it's true, but like it's saying that that's the case. Okay, so it's a baseless claim. It's not necessarily a baseless claim, but me kind of saying it as though it's a fact, that's bullshit. And so you should be skeptical of that. But, you know, it is, you can see why the CIA would be relieved that people are reading Foucault instead of Marx or Mao or something like that. Like, it's pretty obvious because Foucault's like doing a really like granular historical sort of analysis thing, and he's not like coming to like these conclusions where he's telling people, now you need to go make all the people who work bullshit jobs work in the fields, and anybody who's going to hold a role in the old society or like defend the old society needs to like be punished or whatever. And we're not calling for like let's have a like a actual revolution. It's like, no, these guys were like in, you know, Foucault and Derrida, like they're formed in 1968, not the 1930s or 20s or earlier, right? They really are kind of like working in the aftermath or actually through they're working through the Cold War. And, you know, like it's crazy times to be a critical thinking person, much less a social theorist, you know. And so, and people think that they're obfuscating and all this stuff. I don't think that's true. That's a whole other thing we could talk about later. But what I'm trying to say is that these guys are not Lenin and Mao. And so, like, or Kropotkin, for that matter, right? Or, you know, Malatesta or any of these other people. So, yeah, there's like this. The Breadtube side, you can expand the term, so it's not just Breadtube, because Breadtube can be considered like a pejorative. You could say instead LeftTube, and then people would go, well, you know, like one time Epoch Philosophy, Janusz Chekhov, you know, like these Theory and Philosophy is another one of these channels. Theory and Philosophy. No, these are. Yes, I mean they might sometimes talk about like one of these old revolutionaries, and they might talk about the left this or the left that, but most of the time they're talking about theory, right? This like academic field theory. So it's not, so what gets called theory by like breadtubers is more like political strategy. And it's like totally legitimate, but it's political theory or it's political philosophy. Well, it's not. Yeah, I wouldn't call it political philosophy, but and a lot of them aren't very well schooled in political philosophy or statecraft, which is a bummer. And if I was doing a better job at this, then maybe they would have the resources for that. But you know, I've got to live and I've got to do the things that I'm interested in, and I'm just going to keep experimenting. And right now, it's not my job to educate everybody, but it is. I am, you know, I would like to eventually have like 101 courses. Like I did a 101, an intro to theory 101, and I did an intro to philosophy 101, and then I never continued either one of those, right? I've done a few other of these lectures where I do basically the intro day, and then I never get back to it because I have to work, I have to move, my life is crazy. We live in a burnout society. People think I have ADHD, blah, blah, blah. Soda Cabbage says, seeing memes lately, complaining about why do I have to learn X in college when it doesn't have to do with my end goal, and advocating further narrowing of fields. Yeah, Anne is teaching classes right now where that is a constant refrain from students, and she will be talking about it all the time. So actually what I would really love, Soda Cabbage, is that when you see Ann and I are streaming in the near future, we're going to be calling it probably like NSP Presents DNA for Dave and Ann. Pop in on one of those streams and bring this up, please. I don't want to start talking about it too much because it was kind of what I was talking about at the end of the last stream I was doing and then at the beginning of the stream. And part of what I was getting into is like stop reading and the new mindset and all of this. Stop reading, HYBRITERACY. I've got a lot of exciting stuff to say about HYBRITERACY. I'm going to play a little bit more of the stop reading video in a bit when I need a bathroom break, so that you can actually all get through it. But yeah, so anyway, folks, the difference between Theorytube and Breadtube is that one side reads Lacan and the other side doesn't. Put it that way. Okay, one side respects Michael Downs for what he's done on the Dangerous Maybe blog and on my channel for the absolutely singular, priceless contribution that we've made to the history of this world with that Lacan series. Some people get it, and then there's Breadtube. And it's okay that they don't get it. It's fine. They don't respect, they don't know. But the reason that they're going to keep failing in life is because they don't understand Lacan. I would say Fanon is right in the middle, and that all of post-colonial shit is right in the middle between those two things. It's kind of like Fanon, because the thing is like Fanon studied under Merleau-Ponty, who studied under Heidegger. Fanon hung out with that pedophile Jean-Paul Sartre. Okay? It's not fair to say that. I don't like to judge people in a different time and everything. And the 60s were crazy, but Sartre was crazy. Everyone was like, Sartre, you fuck a lot. You fuck a lot, dude. And Fanon was just like, if you'll write the foreword to my book, Sartre, I won't cancel you for fucking, like, 15-year-olds all the time. And Sartre was like, alright, dude, I'll write a foreword to your book, The Wretched of the Earth. I think I have it right here. So anyway, post-colonial theory, though, actually has this concept of hybridity. And so I'm not going to get into hybridity right now and relate it to what I'm calling HYBRITERACY. They're different, though, so leave it at that. Swolitariat's in the house. What up, Swole? This has been a really good stream so far, Swole. Actually, this is one of those streams, Swole, where I'd go back to the beginning. I don't think there's any point in just joining right now and just hanging out right now, unless you're just looking to, like, hang out and be in the chat. But if you're not looking to be in the chat and you're, like, doing something, like driving somewhere or working or playing a video game, I would, because it's YouTube, take it all the way back to the beginning and then just speed it up to catch up. You said big brain stream? That's what Swole said. Swole, fuck. You're a mod. You're in the mod chat. I already played Anne over the... So you know what? Actually, Swole, here's what I ask you to do. I don't know if you have the time or energy for that matter, but just saying, if you go back to the beginning and then, like, speed through, then you could, you know, through the mod chat on WhatsApp, you could, like, I'll have a Swolitariat segment where I introduce you to everybody. Because this is kind of this is a stream where I'm talking about Breadtube, Theorytube, video essayists versus streamers, and why they're all wrong. And so I'm calling out ContraPoints of PhilosophyTube and Thought Slime and Peter Coffin and One Dime and Epoch Philosophy. And actually, no, sorry, I'm not calling out One Dime, Epoch Philosophy, Jonas Cheka. I'm not calling out anybody on Theorytube. I'm just calling out people on Breadtube. But, like, because the debate thing is on LeftTube. And yes, One Dime and Epoch and all these people are part of, but they're on, like, a corner of LeftTube that's overlapping with Theorytube. And Theorytube is not LeftTube, it's not reducible to LeftTube. Telos Bound is no leftist by any stretch of the imagination. Telos Bound is like a little Catholic boy, like, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. That's disrespectful. I shouldn't say boy. I think he's a man. I don't know. But he believes in, you know, like, tradition and all this stuff. And so it's like, Telos Bound, if you watch this, I've got a question for you. Do you believe that, well, you know that our society doesn't have objective criteria for like achieving manhood or whatever. There's no rites of passage that are like universally agreed upon. And so it's like, if you're experiencing life as a male in the society, you're like a person who wants to game, but there's no rules to the game. And so you can't, even if you make an achievement, then nobody's able to like, there's no like objective social or like, the recognition that you would get if you were like, say, a king is like, wow, or like the Pope is like, damn, So you and you're like a traditionalist, but you're part of Theorytube, And so I'm interested if you think that you're a man. You're an 18-year-old who's written a book. I've not read it yet. I can't tell you if it's good or not. I really look forward to reading your book. You wrote a book on subjectivity. And you're an 18-year-old. You're like, I think fresh out of high school, you're fucking, I don't know, you went to like some crazy school where you got to read a ton of philosophy. Now you're talking about Zizek and Byung-Chul Han. This is dope as fuck. People, if you don't know about Telos Bound, you should check it out. Because like what I'm talking about right now is the difference between Breadtube and Theorytube. And the difference is like One Dime and Telos Bound have more in common with one another than they do with Thought Slime. Okay?
2012 magnum opus. Now, if you have any topics you would like me to cover in these sorts of unscripted videos, be sure just to leave them in the comment section and I will try my best.
Now you know what he looks like. I didn't for a while there. Here's him talking about... So, I mean, actually, I'm really impressed by Telos Bound right now, I have to say, because I commented in the comment section of the video that he did on, I think it was on, like, Zizek, something Zizek, one of his Zizek streams. Slavoj Zizek, Hegel and a Wired Brain. Was it that one, or was it the symbolic order? I think it was the symbolic order one, so here I'm going to pull it up. So anyway, I commented on it, and I told him that I think he might have got Hegel wrong, and then he gave me like a really good response. So I have some respect immediately out the door here. So I said, here, I'll make it bigger so if people want to read it on stream, they can, Okay, so I said, good stuff, thanks. By the way, I am curious to hear how you think that Zizek's understanding of the absolute is different from Hegel's. After listening to, watching, and reading Todd McGowan, I have been under the impression that Zizek was one of the first to truly understand Hegel, and that most Hegelians or critical of Hegel were wrong. I'm not even going to correct that right now. Point being, I said that, and then he responded, hey, glad you enjoy. I've been subbed to you on my personal account for a while now. I want to say right off the bat that I'm a Zizekian before a Hegelian, or to put it in another way, for my interpretation of the two, I follow Zizek. So I don't actually agree with Zizek that he is a Hegelian, as in his notion of... So, as you see, he goes on. And he actually gets into this whole shit about, like, absolute knowledge. I totally respect it. It's a really, really, really good response. And I said, thank you for this well-thought-out reply. I'm not very well-versed in either Zizek or Hegel. I've read Sublime Object and the Phenomenology. That's not enough to go on yet. And I said, I am trying to get a sense for them, and both thinking through these kinds of contradictions and comments like these, really, ... Did I really not finish that sentence? Anyway, weird. And so, yeah, this was a really cool thing. And then he does... So Telos Bound then does like 2 video essays, 2 parts, 20 minutes each, on Emancipation After Hegel, which is the Todd McGowan book that I was referencing primarily. Okay, and then not only does he do that, so he reads the book, he gives it 2-part video, like respectful treatment, like he's taking it seriously, and then he rolls out this article last week. And I'd be remiss to not show it on stream, but I'll have to pull it up later and share it with everybody. So Telos Bound article where he rolls up his sleeves and is going to task with Todd McGowan, basically saying Todd McGowan completely, I mean, he's not saying Todd McGowan's totally wrong, but Todd McGowan is like a professor who I respect a lot. He's the podcast host for Y Theory, which is a really great podcast. Everyone should subscribe to and listen to Y Theory. Most of my friends listen to Y Theory. Listening to Y Theory might also make the difference between Breadtube and LeftTube. So it's really interesting that Telos Bound is a person who exists, and I appreciate the stuff that he's doing. The stuff that he did on Byung-Chul Han and Time has, or as well as Giorgio Agamben and Time, has blown my fucking mind, everybody. Oh, someone in chat said that Swole is Theorytube. Swoletariat said, who counts as Theorytube? You're Theorytube, Swole, said Soda Cabbage. Listen, you're not. Yes, you are. Okay. Actually, you are. There's a, if we were to plot this out, it's not like there's like a linear sort of like it goes from one place to another place. It's not just a spectrum and there's a spot along that spectrum. It's actually like there's like a whole field here. And there's a corner of that field that's got a foot in Breadtube and a foot in Theorytube, and it is the materialist left. And the materialist left, like, it's basically zero books, which is now Diet Soap, which is basically just like, it's Doug Lane and Cedric Varn and Ashley Frowley and the Solitariat. Oh, and Ben Burgess. Okay. But Ben Burgess is like, it's almost like he's got more feet going on over here in Breadtube. Even though he's like a philosophy professor, but he's like a logic dude. And a logic dude is not a continental philosophy person. And I think that he is skeptical, to say the least, of all the stuff going on in Theorytube. So, and that's good. There's a lot to be skeptical of. Holy shit! There's so much to be skeptical of. But anyway, all right, let's get back to it. I want to play you the intro to the Byung-Chul Han, The Scent of Time. This book, I instantly went and started listening to it while working. And then I instantly started listening to it again. So it's a book that I finished and then repeated instantly. And then I've written about it, and I keep thinking about it, because I can't believe that I didn't know that Byung-Chul Han had really good stuff on time. And I'm trying to do time energy theory over here, and I've got like this crazy list, really, really epic primary works on time. And I just didn't realize Byung-Chul Han is such a lad. And so, here we go.
Hello, my name is Trey, and welcome to Telos Bound. Today I would like to talk about Byung-Chul Han's underrated book, The Scent of Time. Han is a German philosopher of South Korean origins who is probably most famous for his book Psychopolitics. His books are always very short. They're basically just essays, which is good for someone like me who has a very short attention span. So, let's begin. Han begins his book by introducing the notion of non-time. He never provides any concrete definition of non-time, and perhaps that's because it is fundamentally undefinable. The closest I've got to defining non-time is that it is a temporality with no closure. A true ending is one which finds its meaning in reference to the past sequence of events which led up to it. There is a sense of closure, the completion of a meaningful story even. Non-time is the direct result of being unable to connect one moment to another, creating ordered and rhythmic intervals which give the flow of time a certain direction. This is what Han calls temporal tension, which, quote, removes the present from its passing without end or direction and infuses it with meaningfulness, unquote. Temporal tension is the result of temporal narrativity, which is essentially a temporality which moves in a given direction because every moment finds its place within the whole. The narrative is the content of the passage of time which has direction and meaning. Non-time, on the other hand, is a sort of limbo that is devoid of purpose, meaning, or direction. One personal example of non-time is how I used to fall asleep, which was by watching YouTube videos until very late and then eventually drifting off mid-video. This is an extremely unsatisfying way to end the day, precisely because there is no closure, no punctuated end. I simply drift off into non-time. My example here is apt because it relates to digital information, which Han sees as embodying the temporality of the modern world. This temporality is the opposite of narrative time, and he calls it atomized or point time. Point time is a temporality that consists of presences that are unable to flow into each other, to connect and form rhythms. They are akin to digital information, which are entirely self-referential, expressing nothing more than their own content.
Okay, I just realized I said I was going to step away for a minute, but I said I said I was going to do that earlier, and I am. But I was going to keep playing the Stop Reading, a new mindset video. And so when I get back, everyone, I'm going to show you, I've got a lot more to say about reading and hybriditeracy. And what I want you to do, if you are just joining, is go back to the beginning and just play from the beginning and just speed it up. And if it's a little bit too much and you're trying to relax and speeding it up stresses you out, that's fine. But also, you should always kind of push your limits on speed when you're trying to catch up with things, because, you know, you got to trust yourself to get more out of it than you expect that you would. And then, anyway, when that way you'll see the beginning of this video, and then right here you'll resume it, and then I'll be getting into hybriditeracy. And so everything I've had to say about Breadtube, Theorytube, video essayists, streamers, debate me bros, fucking psyop, you know, fucking teleprompt reader types. Listen, I've got a lot more to say about that shit. I got some shit to say about that. But allow me to seduce you and say I won't tell you just yet what I've got to say about why they're all wrong. We'll get to it. But, I mean, they're also, a lot of them are really great. Some of them are very fine people. All right? All right. Let's turn my camera off here, and I'm going to start playing the Stop Reading a New Mindset. If anybody is in, like, the Telos bound world, let the homie know that there was the shout out. BRB. I'm turning my camera off, and I've got a few things I gotta go do really quick, but I've got eyes on chat. I'm watching you. Don't try nothing funny. And Swole, I'm about to hit you up. Okay, be right back. Cough. Me, myself, like that expectation that I've always had can have it. Like it's putting something inside of you and now it's yours. That's not what textual life is about. That's not how scholars in the history of writing and reading have ever approached the written word. It is a modern invention. It is a way to make workers dumb, programmable, little fucking unthinking idiots like I've been my whole life. All right? I'm still one. I'm not saying I'm better than that, but I'm saying that I'm trying to dig myself out of a hole that I've been in for a long time when it comes to a lot of my learning blocks and self-defeating thought patterns. Okay? And I think that this is a really big factor. Okay. I have a list here. Oh, what's next? Yeah. We have this idea that if it's worth doing, then it's worth doing right. Yeah, well, if it's worth doing twice. That's my comeback to that. So, the idea with a book, like, oh, if it's worth doing right. Okay, I'm going to wait until there's no distractions. I will have a perfectly quiet library, or I will find the perfect ambiance in a coffee shop, or I will find, like, an afternoon with 7 hours. Fuck off. Me, myself, like that expectation that I've always had can fuck off. If you have that too, that expectation, fuck off. Let go of it. It's so frustrating. It's so frustrating when you realize that that's been like like it's like a binder that's been put on your brain, like blinders that makes it like a horse, you know, like you can only see a certain kind of possibility. And it's like, because you are so constrained thinking that you have to finish things as like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in this linear order, and that completion must come before you move on to the next thing. Fuck, if you're not interested in something, move on to something more interesting. Please do it. Okay. The last two things are the window shopping mentality, which is the replacement for the sort of schooling mind prison that we were just talking about. We'll get into that in a second. The other thing is comprehension. Reading comprehension when it comes to matters of philosophy, sociology, the humanities, it's not going to throw your back out to go too hard. It's not analogous to working out in a strict one-to-one sort of analogy where it would be an exact homology between these two things. It's not like that at all. There are some similarities between working out your body and working out your mind, but when it comes to really difficult works, see, I hesitate to encourage people to like experiment in ways that I'm experimenting, but at the same time, like, we don't have time to fuck around. If you are going to follow a sort of like, if you're going to follow the schooling approach where you have to advance to the next level before you start getting into the next level, the fact is the standards have been lowered continuously now for like 100 years. Like, workers used to be able to read the shit that Marx would write. All right. So the standards keep going down at the exact same time that the actual levels of complexity in our life world and what we actually need to be contending with if we want to be thinking workers are going up. The bar has been raised in reality while schooling has lowered it. There's a mismatch here. And we don't have time to do this whole linear progression thing where you're going to have to like go one grade at a time. Fuck that shit. Go in the deep end. Now, this is not going to work for everybody, but you won't know if it's working or not until you've given it a shot for a few months. You have to struggle. You have to put yourself into uncomfortable situations. You have to force the issue. You have to make yourself do the work, to use the way that people talk nowadays, obviously. But I mean, like, we don't have the time and energy to sit there like we're in a perpetual classroom and just following it all out. I say go in the deep end. And the reason I can say that confidently now is because I tried to read Being in Time, which is, I mean, at the time, I'd been told that was the hardest philosophy book. And so I was like, fuck it, let's try it out. I tried and I failed. Like, I got stuck in the introduction like 3 times and just gave up. Like 3 times I gave up. And then I got a chance where other people were reading it and I dived in. That was in a class and I was like a stroke of luck really at the time. But so then I was able to get a little bit further with it. I was getting more out of it because I'd taken those previous attempts. But one of the things that I realized was every time I've done this try and fail thing, like, it didn't hurt me. And then when I came back to it, it was easier. But the most important thing is it's not about the specific text in question. It's that everything else became easier too. That's what they don't want you to know. All right? So what seems so impossible out there, a billion books always pressing down on me, and there's some that are just really hard, and will I ever get there? Is that if you just go straight for those fucking ones, where there's more on one page than in an entire book that you would buy off of like some bestseller list, like modern bestseller list. Like, you know, you go to like, is this Being in Time or is this the Schopenhauer book? Oh, this is a Schopenhauer book. Yeah, World is Will and Representation. But like, you go for something where the standards haven't been lowered, where the author isn't trying to speak down to the audience, where it's not being like constantly watered down. And you'll find that like, if you were to spend the whole like 3 hours on 2 pages, you'll end up getting more out of those 2 pages than you would have from an entire like popular bestseller book, that even if it's nonfiction. I mean, I'm serious about this. And it was coming to that realization that then like the following Christmas break, I dived in to Totality and Infinity by Emmanuel Levinas, also like one of the fucking hardest books in the world. And I struggled 20 pages a day of that and a companion text. And I maintained that regiment until the end of Christmas break, but I actually finished it. And I wasn't sure if I really understood very much of it, but connections kept forming after the fact. I kept going back to things that kind of toggled my memory in the same way that a song gets stuck in your head, and then you have to play the song to get it unstuck. It's the exact same thing with reading. You'll have something like, you're like, is that what it said? And then you have to find it, and just the act of finding it and then rereading it, it's like things start cementing, connections start forming, and your reading comprehension goes up, not incrementally, but exponentially. So right now we have a schooling system that has trained like most people to think in terms of incremental development. And I think maybe that might be necessary when it comes to like mathematics, but it's different when we're dealing with languages, okay? So that's the big secret. The last thing I wanted to talk about is just the window shopping mentality. It kind of ties back to the idea that instead of if it's worth doing right, my comeback being if it's worth doing twice. The window shopping mentality says, I'm not here to know this book. I'm here to get a vague impression of this book. I'm here to get like a little bit more than maybe I'd get if I just read the back of it and then I read a few Goodreads reviews. I'm here to do a skim. Okay, now there's this thing in graduate school that's very popular called gutting texts, where you take the book and you look at its table of contents, and maybe you do read some Goodreads reviews beforehand, or just book reviews in general. I keep saying Goodreads, but really, wherever you get your book reviews from. So you look at the table of contents, and you try to think, does it make sense? Do you understand what it's talking about? You read the back of the book. You go to those you read the first couple pages of the preface and the introduction, just the first couple pages. Then you kind of go through and you just look at the beginnings of the chapters. And then you flip through those chapters and you look at the italicized sections, if there are any. You look at the conclusions. You see what you can get out of it doing that, and then you think to yourself, what's the most important thing there relevant to my research? And then you maybe dig in deeper on that, okay? That is called gutting a text. When I found out that that's what they're teaching kids in graduate school, I was like, that's kind of fucked up. So like in graduate school, they give you a reading list. It's like this many books. They don't tell you about like gutting text. They just expect you to figure it out. But like, what do people do? They gut the text. Personally, I would walk around feeling like a complete imposter if I did that. And I can't. I really can't. So what I've done is I listen to it, which is kind of like skimming, and then I gut it. So I've technically been over it all, but I haven't got it in the way that I would have if I'd done a deep reading. But I get a sort of impression for it, and then I go over stuff, and then I come back to it 6 months later, or a year later, or 2 years later, whenever I need it. That's the other thing. Books are friends. You don't take a friend out and say, tell me everything about your life, I need to understand you 100% right now. Like, if you do, you don't have many, I promise. Instead, you get to know people over time. You begin to get a sense for what they're about, right? Like, you get a sense for, like, who would you call in this situation or to do this kind of activity with? Well, you have a sense that so-and-so would be down to go on a hike. You have a sense that so-and-so, they like coffee. Oh, so-and-so, they like to go volunteer to do things. Oh, so-and-so, they like to play pool. Whatever it is. You get a sense for what people are into, and then that way you can kind of come back later and do more of that with them. Or you figure out that, hey, no shared interests there, buddy. Fuck off. Okay, well, and kindly, fuck off. Well, I see books as the same. The books are friends. Maybe you'll end up thinking that they are your enemy, but they are dealing with something that is a shared interest, or maybe people that you're thinking with, maybe people you're in dialogue with. They're reading this thing, and so you want to at least get a sense for it, and then maybe you'll go deeper with it. Who knows? You don't know yet. You don't even know. Before you know, before you commit and take a resolute stand on reading this thing thoroughly and knowing it backwards and forwards, which is where I'm getting to now with some books that I would have never thought that I could have read in the first place. Where I'm getting to is this I know where to go for certain kinds of concepts, for certain kinds of ideas, for certain, it's like, oh, I'm mapping these things out. I have the rest of my life to build on this. And then you say, oh, we don't have time for that. Well, we don't have time to act like we don't have time. If we really don't have time, then we definitely don't have time to act like we don't have time. Because acting like we don't have time makes fools out of us. It's desperate. It's foolish. It's silly. Don't do that. Give yourself a break. The window shopping mentality, people used to do this at the mall when they had money, back when we lived in a consumer society. People would go to the place, they'd walk around and go, what should I buy? They got acquainted with what was there. They didn't necessarily commit and buy everything that looked like it was something that they might want to buy. It's the same thing with committing to a book. I want you to try something along these lines and get back to me later. You don't have to do it the same way that I'm doing it. It's all just experiments. I'm just reporting to you from the field where I'm at, working with earbuds in, trying to make sense of the world, and chasing down every interesting book that gets referenced. Because I tell you, eventually you get bored of listening to podcast hosts who read a lot of books. And eventually you want to read them yourself. But time and energy won't allow it. Well then, start listening. And then you go, oh, well, my job is not going to happen. Well, I mean, that's why I just quit a job that was ultimately like taking up my headspace and not letting me listen to books. So I'm not saying that you have to quit your job, but I am saying that this is worth experimenting with. I'm saying if you can have MSNBC or CNN or Fox News playing in the background, why can't you have a book playing in the background? Do you have to understand every fucking word they say on the news? Do you have to follow along every fucking thing and be able to regurgitate it like you're doing a fucking exam? No, you don't. When you go to a website, do you think, I have to read every fucking page on this website, or I didn't get anything out of it? No, nobody does that. Why have we put books up on such a pedestal? That's my piece. Just wanted to do a quick little insertion here right at the end before I close out with, I'm going to put up some summary, like the summary points of the whole video, and I'm going to show footage of like working with headphones on while listening to an audiobook because it's fun. But before I do that though, I just want to say, like, in addition to everything I just said, also think about it this way. What do you think you'll get more out of? Listening to a book twice, or reading it at a painstakingly slow pace where you go back and reread paragraphs over and over again? Which do you think you'll get more out of? Okay, now you don't have to choose between those two things. Because if you instead just listen to whatever book seems interesting and you just get a sense for whether it's worth coming back to or not, then when you come back to it, you can read it. But because you've already listened to it, you already have like a sort of sense of where to focus. You already have a sense for the territory, so you won't be as lost in the pages. You'll get more out of actually reading it. But at the same time, like if you don't have time to read it later, but you need to go back to it later, then listen to it again and you'll get more out of it than you would have. But then again, maybe you don't need to come back to it later. If you don't need to come back to it later, then you know. And at least you haven't spent untold fucking hours rereading paragraphs in a book that you don't need to come back to. That's all.
Today, the distinction between proletariat and bourgeoisie no longer holds either. Literally, proletarian means someone whose sole possessions are his or her children. Self-production is restricted to biological reproduction. But now the illusion prevails that every person, as a project free to fashion him or herself at will, is capable of unlimited self-production. This means that the dictatorship of the proletariat is structurally impossible. Today, the dictatorship of capital rules over everyone. The neoliberal regime transforms low exploitation into auto-exploitation. This process affects all classes. Such classless self-exploitation, which was something utterly unknown to Marx, renders impossible any social revolution based on the difference between the exploiters, on the one hand, and the exploited, on the other. Indeed, given the auto-exploiting achievement subject's isolation, no political we is even possible that could rise up and undertake.
Okay. All right. Are we still here, everybody?
Children, self-production is restricted to biological reproduction. But now the illusion prevails that every person, as a project free to fashion him or herself at will, is capable of unlimited.
Sorry, I was listening to this outside. Fuck. I went and double checked to find out if I was like, what happened, with these kids hearing me cuss, because the kids inside, like, apparently were overhearing the stream and we're all like, we didn't know that Dave knew cusses. And like their parent, these kids, the Christian family, parents still cuss sometimes, but like, I'm like, okay. If you're just joining, I was just having a little crisis on stream about like, fuck, should I like not cuss on streams? I want to make it so that moms who are not trying to soil their children's ears are still able to like learn about this stuff. But then I'm like, and then I think it was Marvin had like a great idea and was just like, dude, just do family friendly streams sometimes and tell them, or tell your audience what's in store. Maybe I should have like a not safe for work, not safe for church, not safe for family kind of like slider up on my meme reel here for the times when I'm gonna be cussing. And I'm actually gonna start for the religious, for the Jesus fucking Christs, I do that. I do say that. But from now on, it's $20 in a jar. Not for anything else, but it's just, yeah, for that one, I respect Jesus. But more importantly, I respect people who are religious believers. And I try not to rag on people from other cultures. And I think there's something crazy when it's like you want to be like, oh, fucking Allah or whatever. But then but you will do it to Christians. And it's like there are so many cultures that you do not understand where people are offended by that. And it's like, it's not worth it. But look, if I'm just cussing, suck my dick. No, absolutely not. I'm not going to stop cussing. But no, I do want to get better at that specific one. And for all my friends who are like, but it's so much fun to take the Lord's name in vain. I totally agree. That's why it's prohibited. The church likes to prohibit things that are fun, and it's fun to say things that offend the priesthood. And most slurs offend somebody in the priesthood. And sometimes it also offends me. And, I try not to be a part of the priesthood, but I still get offended. And I don't think that, morals are reducible to the priesthood, but I think that the priesthood co-opts morals, and that's the issue. Anyway, all right, so chat, what up? All right, so don't remember plastic pills being mentioned. I have to. Well, if we're going to mention plastic pills, then we also have to mention Todd Nichols. They're both great. They've got a great doc on cyber socialism. Cool. Except, by the way, everyone I'm talking about, from Telos Bound to ContraPoints, I watch 1/10 of their content, maybe 1/50th of their content. The thing is I'll go down a bender and watch 6 of their videos, and then I'm like, I think I got the message. They keep saying certain things. They keep assuming certain things. They keep acting certain ways. They keep misinterpreting things in certain ways. They keep putting words in people's mouths and doing really fucking faulty forms of fallacious kinds of thinking. It starts to drive you crazy after a certain point. And then there's the ones where it's you basically agree with everything they're saying, and you even like the way that they're saying it, and then you're like, okay, but I've watched 6 of these. Now maybe I'll watch one in 6 months. Sometimes when I'm binging somebody, I become their patron, and I plan on only being their patron for a month or two. And I really hope that they're not offended when I stop being their patron. But when I was going down a Telos Bound rabbit hole, I became a patron to Telos Bound. When I was doing a deep dive into Angela Nagel or Matt Taibbi, I went to their Substack. When I was doing a deep dive into ContraPoints years and years ago, I was a patron, and so anytime I'm checking some shit out, I'll become a patron for a bit. Now, I've not been very good at that, and I wish that I was better at it. And I think that anyone who's binging anybody's content after a certain point probably should do it. For me, I don't want your money tonight. I want you to check out nspublishing.substack.com, and I want you to check out nsplebe, spelled the way I do with 2 E's in a row, nsplebe.substack.com. Check those things out. That's the most important shit. As well as Free Mikey. And by the way, I wish that I had a chat bot set up where I could make a command so that it would, you could have a Free Mikey thing there. And in a perfect world, I'd have some mods in here right now who like to do that kind of stuff and have permissions with the chat mod thing. And I don't, though. So, not yet. I'm just getting back and going. I do have a few mods, but one of them is watching from the beginning, I think, and then the other 2 have gone to bed. Back to it, folks. So, Deleuze and Guitars, good to see you, says, is it cheating to use machine learning to train a bot and converse with a book? Is it cheating to use machine learning to train a bot and converse with a book? Is it cheating? I want to know more about what you mean by that, Deleuze and Guitars. Marvin says, it's kind of like the drive to experience original things over and over I have been trying to experience things repetitively because it's worth it, and it's worth it to try and break that drive a bit. Yeah, that drive to experience new stuff constantly is also a drive to stay distracted and not sit with oneself in solitude and develop a chronological self of sense, or a chronological sense of self. Sorry, and it's also like it robs you of leisure time, and it's best understood by Kierkegaard's essay on the public and Heidegger's section of Being and Time, probably chapter 3, 4, 5. Fuck, I forget which. Maybe also chapters like 1 and 2 and like Division 2, but mostly I think it's like chapter 4 gets into maybe chapter 3. But anyway, gosh, I feel so rusty right now. It's killing me. But the bit on Das Man and authenticity, which is basically just like the generic person. It's really good. Talks about curiosity as being, and by the way, he doesn't use curiosity. This is translated from German. He's not using it's like idle curiosity that is passively consuming and only kind of like amusing oneself and staying entertained and trying to keep from being bored, or just kind of going for a rush of either pleasure or jouissance, but not like, Hegel says, tarrying and struggling with the concept and actually trying to get to the root of things in like a radical way. So, that's the goal. Soda Cabbage says, I'm here, got some peanut butter and honey on bread. Haha! That sounds really good right now. I want that with banana, because that's like one of my favorite snacks. I've been doing that a lot with sourdough lately. It's good. Okay. Losing Guitar says, I cuss in Spanish around children. Caca is my favorite word. That way I feel like I am teaching, LOL. Is that just shit? Caca. Deluzing Guitar says, bat caca is my go-to euphemism for bat shit, which is a technical term. Fuck. Are you serious? So bat shit is a technical term. Bullshit's a technical term. It's not lying. It's not deception. It is a mode of communicating that is not in reference to truth. Harry Frankfurt wrote the book on it. Oh, Ashley's here. Haha. Hi, Ashley. Says, I should try that, but I'll need to learn more Spanish. Wow, it's like they're just over there and I'm hanging out with them now. What up, Ashley? What up, Ben? I played a little McIntyre after Virtue on stream today. All right, I've been kind of like let's be honest. So far, I've been, since I got back, I've been talking about stuff that is not the main topic of this stream. And that's because I wasn't really committed to being here. I don't smoke a lot of cigarettes, but I do sometimes. And this is a not safe for work, child-friendly stream, so I can say that. I try to never be seen smoking a cigarette in front of children, but I know that eventually children will grow up and see that sometimes I have one. But that's when I'll tell them the truth, which is that I quit smoking a long time ago. And now I have one every once in a while. But what I mean by quitting is I quit telling myself that it's addicting. And now I like to flex and go, no, I'll have a cigarette. And then I'll go for 2 months without one, And I think that it's very convenient for the tobacco industry and also for the, sin tax industry that is parasitic on the tobacco industry. I think it's very convenient for them all to make, workers think, oh, this is so addicting. You need 2 packs a day. Because I used to smoke 2 packs a day. And I thought I was addicted. Then I shifted my mindset and it's not addicting. And I can't promise that everyone can do that. And maybe I have. And trust me, it's a lot easier if you're not drinking. I quit drinking in 2016, so. Yeah, so anyway, I am about to step out to smoke. And I'm going to play the... what am I going to play? I'm going to play Grow Food. Roots of Change because I want to record. I want to record it. So you see how I've got this up here on the screen, folks? Do you see this on the screen? Ben, you see that? I've got my audio waves up here. All right, there's different programs on the screen that you can see in front of me. Audacity is the one that I'm moving around right now, and Audacity, the Audacity is free software, open source, really, really, really good. I love it a lot, and I was recording Alistair McIntyre's After Virtue, but now I'm going to record this song so that I can take the clip of the song where they say, chop it up, chop it, chop it, chop it, chop it up, and put that on my soundboard, and then also get the clip for whipping in the kitchen. I'll be whipping in the kitchen, because whipping in the kitchen and chopping it up is badass. So Ashley's saying, gonna hit it, good night. Ashley, you haven't heard this song. Gotta at least hear this song. But all right, you don't have to hear the song right now. I can always show you later. But what I'm about to show you is a song. I'm gonna step away while I play it. It's by Roots of Change Grow Food is the name of the song. And I think people should watch it because it's like unironically a great song. It's a bop, but also it's like, yeah, well, you can judge for yourself. Here we go.
Grown food. ASC got produce. ASC about to go cool. We gon' grown food. Grown food. ASC got produce. ASC about to go cool. Whipping in the kitchen. Whipping in the kitchen. I be whipping in the kitchen. Whipping in the kitchen. Chop it up, chop it, chop it, chop it, chop it up. The slow food got you sloppy, bruh. So chop it, chop it, chop it, chop it up. Grown food, grown food, chop it up, chop it, chop it, chop it, chop it up. The slow food got you sloppy, bruh. So chop it, chop it, chop it, chop it up.
See, in my hood, they ain't really much to eat. Popeyes on the corner, McDonald's right across the street. All this talk about guns and the drugs, pretty serious. But look at what they feeding y'all. That's what's really killing us. Please change. The food in my school, make it good. Get that fake food up out of my hood. Hope the message not misunderstood. Grow and cook your own food, yes you could. Got the little homies in the garden. Got the big homies selling collard greens in the north side. Ain't starving since community cooks been on the scene.
Screaming hot Cheetos and Takis, boy, you better eat your broccoli. Fake food is kinda lame, putting poison in your brain. Need more people at the club, popping bottles of that water, dabbing on that fast food. Pulling veggies out the garden, I go hard, I eat good, and I put that on my mama. Eating healthy school lunch, and that's word to Miss Obama. Drinking water, living longer, no processed drama. Call me John Deere, shorty, I be growing like a farmer. Dad.
Grown food, grown food. ASC got produce. ASC about to go cool. We gon' grown food, grown food. ASC got produce. ASC about to go cool. Whipping in the kitchen, whipping in the kitchen. I be whipping in the kitchen, whipping in the kitchen. Chop it up, chop it, chop it, chop it, chop it up. The slow food got you sloppy, bruh. So chop it, chop it, chop it, chop it up.
I get the C from the oranges. I get the B from the broccoli. I get the A from the milk. I get my vitamins properly. My food be packed with the minerals. I hope you taking this literal. So when you 65 plus, you should be passing your physical. Try to tell them. But they did not believe me. Thought that sugar was sweet. Till I got diabetes. You better rethink your drink. This stuff is not what you think. Get you some water or something. I get it free from the sink. Keep it healthy, but still got that good taste. Got an appetite for flavor and an appetite for taste. If you need a couple corners, I can get you some help. And then I see you on the van. Cause you need some milk.
11-year-old with some big dreams, about to make it big on the big screen. Don't pay attention to that TV, cause fake food ain't what you need. Come on the house, let us chop it up. Exp. telling me made it popular. The youth of the truth ain't no stopping us. The youth of the truth ain't no stopping us. But the health, well, social change. My fruits and veggies be off the chain. Want real food for real people, gonna break it bread. Cafe, real money, that's all I need. Get the green, broccoli. Wanna make 100 meals, we don't cook 100 meals, cause my people gotta eat.
Grown food.
I'm totally boomering out over here. I'm so sorry, everybody. I'm dancing, but I'm creating like an echo. Whoops. I'm going to skip back, play while I'm going to grab some water from my Yeti over here. It's going to be really good.
I get it free from the sink. Keep it healthy, but still got that good taste. Got an appetite for flavor and an appetite for taste. If you need a couple corners, I can get you some help. And then I see you on the van. Cause you need some milk.
11-year-old with some big dreams, about to make it big on the big screen. Don't pay attention to that TV, cause fake food ain't what you need. Come on the house, let us chop it up. Exp. telling me made it popular. The youth of the truth ain't no stopping us. The youth of the truth ain't no stopping us. But the health, wealth, social change. My fruits and veggies be off the chain. Want real food for real people, gonna break it bread. Cafe, real money, that's all I need. Get the green, broccoli. Wanna make 100 meals, we don't cook 100 meals, cause my people gotta eat.
Grown food. Grown food. ASC got produced. ASC about to go cool, we gon' grown food. Grown food. ASC got produced. ASC about to go cool.
Yeah.
I be whipping in the kitchen, whipping in the kitchen. Chop it up. Chop it, chop it, chop it, chop it up. The slow food got you sloppy, bruh. So chop it, chop it, chop it, chop it up.
So, it's fitting. It's a fitting song to be playing right now. That's what I'm about to show you. I'm about to show you some transmissions from the future, everybody. I'm about to show you. I'm going to show you a picture, just a little snapshot of a form of life. A form of life called, and I'm so sorry that this is such a corny-ass neologism, but I'm going to just start using it without shame. Hybriteracy. It's as annoying as the word plebe is when spelled wrong for some people, I'm sure. But the point is that there is a noble kind of work, and then there is a parasitic kind of work, and then finance and consumer capitalism creates a gray area and then job culture creates another like gray area because people got to live also. But there's noble work, and then there's parasitic jobs, and some people have to spend their whole lives barely scraping by just to do noble work. And then other people are raking it in big time doing, well, it's arguable that they add any value to the world whatsoever. They usually just like deal in words and knowledge. And sometimes it's very useful. Other times, you just kind of feel like, well, it's very convenient that you don't have to do any of the noble work and that you get to be parasitic on it. And people who grow food are doing noble work. And I grew up on a farm, and rural people and people who have to commute into cities to work to provide for the people who live in these piles, these really, really high-tech piles of exchange value and exploitation. Just kind of presuppose all that shit and think themselves above it sometimes, and that's real. It's real. And so noble work is a technical concept. Deleuze and Guittard says chatbots aren't usually trained off of a corpus of text, but I am exploring it. Deleuze and Guittards, if you want to be a moderator with privileges to be able to train my community's robot function, you're definitely welcome to. I want to have a bunch of mods who are experimenting with this. And so, for instance, any concept that I ever have to explain should be clipped and then should be linked in a short little video that is probably unlisted, but is in a, I mean, maybe it's not unlisted, maybe it's public. But for instance, if I explain something, then I shouldn't have to explain it again. And then if people ask what it is, then people can just do the little function for it in the chat, and it will like pop up an explanation with the video link where I've previously talked about it. And one of the goals of my street team or meme gang that will be in my Discord of the future, one of the things that will prove people, and you know, it's not like just anybody gets to be a part of it. It's not just like doors open to the public on the Discord once I get it going. It's going to be a street team, and there's going to be effort buffers between people who communicate on my streams and people who get, you know, who are part of the thing, and people who are, you know, enjoying it but aren't really able to participate. But I want to make it so that people are able to kind of experiment with these various forms of media, and training, like Deleuze and Guittard says, training a chatbot off of a corpus of text from a textbook such as philosophy is a genius idea. And being able to somehow tie that into a form of life where human beings who are trying to live their lives are all becoming literate in the technologies, the open source technologies of how to do these things themselves, so that they are literate about the content that they're consuming. Like, it's all part of like this bigger picture, this bigger working class intelligentsia that is emerging. It's an important role in that. So if you're doing it on your own, more power to you. But I'm taking applications for mods, is what I'm saying. Just email me, theorytube@gmail.com, if you are interested. All right, folks. So, all right, where are we at? Should I finish up the thing that I'm saying about why video essayists and the debate me bro people are all kind of right, but all also wrong? Or should I kind of keep stringing you along here for the ride before I get to it? There's only like 5 people in chat right now. And that's because I forgot to say, people need to share this, people need to like it, people need to, like, actually it's funny, I was watching Lance from the Surfs, oh, by the way, hold on, let me stop Audacity. Okay, I actually need to go back to that song and take the clip that I was talking about. So you're all going to get a live tutorial on how to clip something that you've recorded in Audacity. I'm about to show you how to do it yourself, because tutorials are just a segment that we do on this channel. But what I was going to say about Lance from the Surfs is, like, he was watching a Russell Brand video, and then he was making fun of Russell Brand for, like, grifting by, like, making a plug about like this and share it and subscribe and all of this stuff. And it's just so funny. I just don't understand. It's like everybody in this universe that we're talking about who's using these platforms has to do that, and to do it to be successful as a person who's like out there constantly, you know, like if you're streaming, if you're then to be, it's different than if you're a video essayist. And so it's just weird because Lance is a streamer, so you'd think that it's just weird. It's like, oh, you know, it's almost like people are like making accusations of like war profiteering Because, people are talking about the pandemic, people are talking about war, people are talking about war propaganda, and then they have the audacity to say, like the button. Well, the reason you have to like the button, I should have been saying this earlier. The reason you have to like it, everyone, listen, if you don't, other people won't see it. And I don't need a lot of people to see it, but I want people who are subscribed to see it. And if people who are subscribed don't see it, it's ultimately because, we just didn't do the like button thing. And in the long run, I don't want to ever make those kinds of plugs. Ideally, in 2 years from now, because I'm not trying to have thousands of viewers or whatever, but I want to have I want to build up to the point where I've got 20 to 50 people tuning in for these streams. And if I grow to much bigger than that, then I'll probably do things to purge, to cleanse. I'll put up effort buffers and things like that. But for the time being, it's algorithms matter. And because I'm coming out here on this internet, which is a sketchy ass place, you should like things. On social media, when you like something, it's ooh, now people can see that you like that. Ooh, it says something about you. Well, look, if you get anything out of this and it's on YouTube, it doesn't say anything about you. It just means that you're not trying to bury it. You know what I mean? Nobody's going to be oh, you like that? So anyway, that's my little side thing about that. I think it's actually important to like things. And I said that when I was inside and I was talking to Ashley and Ben. I was I need to tell them to like this video because it only has 5 likes. And Ashley was oh, I should have liked it. I didn't know. And then she got on there and liked it. So it's probably got another one now. Today's chef says, hey. Today's chef, welcome. There's 2 ways of doing this. Today's chef, as well as anybody else just joining, welcome. It's very late in the morning, early in the morning for a lot of people right now. It's very late at night for a lot of other people right now. In fact, most people right now, this is very late, and so a lot of people will probably be listening to this tomorrow. So anyway, people who are watching this later will be watching it from the beginning, or will be watching a clip of it somewhere sometime in the distant future. But for people who are just joining right now, go back to the beginning and speed up through. If you want to kind of have the context for everything. But we're about to kind of shift gears. I've been talking about hybrideracy and stop reading, stop worrying about reading, stop feeling guilty about not reading, stop trying to finish things that you start. If you don't finish websites that you're reading, if you don't finish Wikipedia articles that you're reading, if you don't read every article that you check out the title of or whatever, good. And it should be the same way with books. Don't put them on this weird pedestal. I think Booktube is guilty of that sometimes, but I think there's a lot of good voices on Booktube that I haven't really checked out. I'm not really part of Booktube, and I would say Booktube and Theorytube overlap, but I'm less in Booktube. So I shouldn't be making generalizing statements about it. But yeah, I want to have a little bit more of a meta conversation about sort of how we are engaging with media and how we get in ruts where we only engage in certain kinds of media and stay illiterate about other kinds of media. And it doesn't help that we live in a class society, and that part of what that means is that certain people want to see themselves as influencers or the voices for others. And it's that's important, I guess. But also I think that there's a role for just the meta conversation about how we go about it. And that's kind of always been a little bit more where I'm coming from. I'm not just a YouTuber. I'm someone who worked in the workforce for 10 years and just listened to podcasts and audiobooks, but never really intellectual stuff ever, really. I kind of avoided it, to be honest, and was kind of apolitical, or tried to be, and then eventually got serious about things. And went and got a bachelor's in philosophy and a master's in critical theory. It's critical media theory specifically because, it's about how we use media, but more importantly, how media uses us. And how not understanding things that we use actually changes it changes how we engage with the world and perceive things and interpret stuff. And so it's just like, we live in a time of structural stultification, which is to say, like, structurally, we live in a world where only some people read, and other people are kind of expected to not read. And if they do read, it's like throwaway novels or whatever. And even the people who do read are so busy with administrative stuff that they rarely do. And I was talking earlier about how people actually talk about how, like, back when they read in grad school, and it's like, back when you read in grad school, nobody really reads in grad school. People are like rushing through things in grad school. Like, that's not the same thing as reading. Reading requires repetition. You don't get to know anybody off of like a single date or a week of hanging out. You get to know people over time. And books are people, books are friends, books are enemies, books are fellow travelers. Books are, they're not just a commodity that you're supposed to start and then finish. It says something about you. You've got to have an opinion about it. You got to know everything that happened there the first time through, or else you're just like not an intellectual person. You should feel ashamed of yourself and move on. No, like, books, you got to get to know them. And so I talked earlier about textual promiscuity. And so that was basically what I was getting at when I was talking about the window shopping mentality in that video I was playing earlier. And yeah, I think it's very important. So RKL says, where can I find Booktube? I can't even tell you the names of anybody. There are people that I watch sometimes, but most of the time, most booktubers I've put on watch later, and I genuinely plan on diving into it someday. And there's a lot of really cool people there. But for right now, I'm going to say, I don't want to do the injustice of just naming somebody. I'm going to wait and like roll out a list for you so that we'll train the chatbot. So I actually need to have a little checklist here on my clipboard. Chatbot. We're going to teach the chatbot lists for Theorytube, Breadtube, the Materialist Left, and Booktube. And then I'm going to switch gears because I don't want to talk about this anymore. Because what I want to get into... And I was doing this whole like critique thing of the video essayists versus the streamers. I'll just wrap it up by saying this. Look, a lot of great people. Also, potential, like... I don't know. There's a lot of reasons to be skeptical of people who hide behind teleprompters just as much as it is people who consider themselves master rhetoricians who just need to win, and their definition of winning is a deeply theoretical or at least ideological conception that hasn't been very well thought through, and so they don't really know what they're participating in or how it works, and that's because they're functionally illiterate, and that sucks. And they're working on it, but they're not able to work on it as much as they would be able to if they weren't stuck in only using one form of media all the time and cultivating a consumer demographic that only likes to consume a certain media form. Which is what would happen if you only wrote books, which is what would happen if you only published in academic journals, which is what would happen if you only did streams, which is what would happen if you only sat in front of a camera and talked holding a cup of coffee or tea, which is what would happen if you only ever did video essays. And so, or sat in front of a table and talked about the news in your garage with a green screen behind you. Which are all like valid. But my whole thing is I've never wanted to be any of these things. I've always wanted to play with these ideas or forms of media and see how through a like McLuhanite and also Marxist and Heideggerian lens, how the form of media itself, whether it's all podcasts, whether it's all books, whether it's all this, whether it's all that, how that changes the message and the messenger and the audience, how it selects out and filters through the population for certain kinds of things. and how that kind of psychological gerrymandering produces certain kinds of dynamics that are very upsetting for other people whose form of jouissance is not participating in that bullshit that they see over there, and that you get like sides emerge. And then, like I said earlier, it's all a grand promotional event. Any kind of drama in that universe is a great chance to expose people to what it is that you're doing. And so, you know, it's the algorithms also incentivize these kinds of debates or whatever. But I do recommend, Xander Hall did a video about the debate between, you know, the kinds of things happening over on the video essay side of stuff and the things that get said on video essay, Breadtube, Twitter, about debate bros and such. And I think does a great job. So check out Xander Hall, XanderHal, and maybe just search on YouTube that plus video essay debate bro. Probably that search query would pull up the exact video that I'm talking about. I'm not going to type it out on screen because I don't care. Okay, switching gears. Now, I participated in enough drama for a year. Now, I want to talk about the things that I've been up to and then close the stream out. But we're going to have a lot of fun because if you've been along for this ride, and it's been quite a ride, right? This could be almost like half your shift at work. This could end up being 2 shifts at your work if you were listening, then got home and then went to bed and then you're finishing out the next day or whatever. And so if you've been along, I've been teasing you with this idea that coming next is a sneak peek for some cool shit to come, meme review, etc. So we're going to get into that. The cool shit to come, I told you I'm going to be showing you stuff from the future, and I want to show you, we've talked a bit about theory, and it's more been like sort of a cultural analysis and commentary. We're going to switch gears, though, into practice as opposed to theory. But really, it's Hybriteracy. It's Hybriteracy. So really what you're going to be seeing is both theory and practice in action, which I love these kinds of experiments. Okay. So by the way, someone in the chat said, okay, based to my response about BookTube. And then Marvin said, why aren't there more socialist libertarians? Oh, I'm sorry. Librarians. Why aren't there more socialist librarians? Seems so right for each other. I know, it's interesting, isn't it? There's also should be like more librarians who are philosophy nerds. That'd be cool. Gosh, can you imagine working in a library if you could listen to audiobooks on your headphones and just go around stocking books all day? And then you have like a camera and you just turn on and do random streams all the time. That'd be the life. That'd be a form of life. That would be sick. Oh my gosh, that'd be so cool. And I've got this plan now at this point when I'm going around getting like applying to jobs, because I don't believe in working at any one place for too long, and because you know they're all experiments, and I'm looking forward to this Amazon experiment I'm going to be doing soon. People might remember when I did something with Amazon in the past. Don't tell them that I did that if I'm going to be applying to get a job at Amazon. But I went inside their I went inside somewhere I wasn't supposed to be and did something I wasn't supposed to do, and I live streamed the whole thing. And so if you didn't see that, you need to go fucking check it out, because it's still on my YouTube, and I'll probably take it off my YouTube at the point that I actually get that job there. But my point was, I'm gonna start going to jobs when I apply and being like, I need to be able to listen to books. And you might not have a position for someone who does that right now, but I can do like 3 times the work of your average person. You just gotta set me up with mindless work and I'll get it done. And I'm versatile and I can learn really fast, and I'll be able to do anything that's mindless work. Mindless work is the best kind of work for me, because it lets me listen to audiobooks. So before I start pulling up the GoPro footage from earlier, which is what I've been so excited to show you all this whole time, allow me to take you on a quick little tour of Audacity. I'm not going to show you, like, look, you can go get a tutorial on how to use Audacity on the basics, like how you can record things. And look, I'm running Voicemeeter, which is another kind of software which allows me to record PC audio in a way that I maybe wouldn't be possible otherwise. I kind of forget what it's like to use a PC without Voicemeeter, and so I don't even want to get into all that right now. It's complicated audio stuff. But look, I just want to show you how I clip this. And so if you were like, say, you download Audacity and you use the microphone on your computer, just the one that comes with it, you could just like say your heart out, you know, speak your piece, recording it, even using a shitty mic. It doesn't matter. You can still say your piece, put it on a podcast, some free podcast platform that distributes it to a lot of different platforms. Like, you can do that. So just knowing how to use the basics of Voicemeeter can give you a voice in a way. And so learn Voicemeeter. It's free. And what I'm going to show you is how to take a clip of something you've recorded off of Voicemeeter, specifically just a clip of it. You'll have to look this up on YouTube if you want to do it, or you could just watch me do it right now. So here we go. Let's find the part where it says chop it, chop it, chop it up, and whipping in the kitchen. I'd be whipping in the kitchen. Let's find that part of the song.
Well, social change, my fruits and veggies be off the
Grown food. ASC got produce. ASC about to go cool.
Yeah. Ew, shush me.
I be whipping in the kitchen, whipping in the kitchen. Chop it up, chop it, chop it, chop.
Okay, so I found the part that I want to go to.
I be whipping in the kitchen, whipping in the kitchen.
That's perfect. So I just drag over it. Now I had to select the little cursor thing up here in the top left, under the play pause buttons. You see the little cursor thing. Click on that, and you just drag over the part that you want. Go up to File, go down to Export, go down to Export Selected Audio. That makes sense, right? And then it's audiobooks right now. Let's go to, I can't believe you can see this on screen. Oh, I forgot that this was a display capture instead of a window capture on OBS. Okay, so anyway, Godputer 2.0, go down to, where do I want to store this? Reminders reel for streaming. No, I've got to get recategorized, y'all. I'm sorry that I'm not yet. It's okay, don't worry. Theorytube. No. It's not Theorytube. That's not where we want to be. We want to go to right here. Production bells and whistles. All right, I'm gonna create a folder, get everything organized later. I'm in the middle of reorganizing, and I should have done it all at once, but it would have taken 10 hours. So right here, I'm gonna put stream deck sound effects. That's where I want to save it. And then I'm going to title it Whippin' in the Kitchen. Okay. And then I'm just going to push OK. And then it exports it like instantly. And we're back in business. Though the last thing I need to record is just the other one.
Chop it up. Chop it, chop it, chop it, chop it up. The slow food got you sloppy, bruh.
I think I just want to chop it up.
Chop it up. Chop it, chop it, chop it.
Okay, maybe go a little bit longer than that.
Chop it up, chop it, chop it, chop it, chop it up.
That's sick. All right, we got it. Export, selected audio, call it chop it up. Oh, chop it up. And then check it out. Right before we go to the GoPro footage, I'm going to show you how to put this onto the Stream Deck. Now, I think there's free software for the Stream Deck. I have an actual Stream Deck. Thank you to the people who donated to my virtual classroom fundraiser back in 2020. It's right here. It's dope as fuck. I love it. Even though I haven't been streaming a lot lately, I do have, like, I can just push buttons and it'll play things. Like, listen. Oh no. Oh, that's right. I have to recategorize everything. Well, that's a bummer. That is a bummer. Yeah, for some reason, I think I moved a bunch of stuff around on my drive, and now I just have to reroute everything. But I think this will work.
After the war, I went back to New York. After the war, I went back to New York. I finished up my studies and I practiced law.
I practiced law, but work next door.
Even though we started at the...
Okay, so then, so I've just, Anne's really into theater. She's gotten me really into Broadway. And so I've got a ton of Broadway stuff on here that we just listened to. So anyway, I pay for it all. I have to because I stream. I can't pirate stuff because I stream. But what I'm showing you how to do can be done legally because you can just be recording yourself and then take a selected audio clip and then whatever. But really quick, so just are you looking on screen here? Because what I'm going to do is oh no, it's not opening. Stream Deck. It's working. It's working on the actual gadget, but the software is not launching. Control-Alt-Delete. When in doubt, push Control-Alt-Delete and try to see what's up. So Stream Deck is popping up even though it's not running. So I'm going to try to end it. Why is everything moving around so much? Is there a way to make it so it doesn't move around so much? There. Click on name, then it'll stop moving, right? Okay, there we go. Let's see, go down. Here, I'll keep playing that. I'll keep playing that while I figure this out. Non-stop.
After the war, I went back to New York. After the war, I went back to New York. I finished up my studies and I practiced law.
I practiced law, Burr work next door.
Even though we started at the very same
time, Alexander Hamilton began to climb. How to account for his rise to the top? Man to man is non-stop. But then I Control-Alt-Deleted Stream Deck, and so it went away. Now I'm going to click on it again. Now you can all see what I see. All right. So really quick, I'm just going to drop those 2 sound bites in here, and then I'll categorize them later. So I'm just going to go to right here. Go to Recent Files in File Explorer. Go to Open Location. Take these, and then I just drag them and drop them. Drag them and drop them. You gotta love when you can just drag and drop things. Thank you, programmers. I know it was really hard to figure out how to drag and drop things, but you did a great job.
Chop it up, chop it, chop it, chop it, chop it up. I be whipping in the kitchen, whipping in the kitchen.
Because I'm going to be doing a lot of evening streams this year, and when I do them, and we'll often be cooking dank-ass vegan food. And sometime I'll be with her, sometime I won't be with her, but I'll have this soundboard sometimes, and if she's chopping it up, I'm going to be like, chop it up, chop it, chop it, chop it, chop it up. Marvin's going to bed. Good night. RKL says, I used to listen to audiobooks and drive forklift. That's dope. All right. Tutorial portion is done. On to the next thing. We're done with Audacity, putting that away. We're done with all of these videos, putting all that stuff away. So what's it going to be now? What am I about to show you, everybody? What do you see right here? You see a lot of books. It's just books that I like to be reminded of. Though it needs to be updated. This is very, very, very... This is like ancient history. This is stuff I was like interested in or trying to read. I mean, it's all really good stuff that I still like, but it's all stuff from before. So what am I trying to do? All right, we're going to do a meme review, but first, and we're not going to do many. We're going to do like 20 memes, and it's just going to be for fun. Maybe I'll even put that off till the morning, but what I would definitely want to show you is what I've got going on over here in a folder that I'm going to pop open and bring into the window where you will be able to see it. Bum, bum, bum. Here, while I get it pulled up, I'll just play. What should I play? What should I play? Should I play something to wake you up? You were going to sleep. All right. No, we're back. I know. You're trying to sleep. Everyone's trying to fall asleep right now. Sorry. It's people who will be joining tomorrow and watching this or rewatching parts of it or whatever. People who will be joining tomorrow are not going to be bothered by that at all because they're not trying to sleep. So there. So Anne and I just went on a trip to... where did we just go? North Bend, Washington. And while we were there, we went to Seattle. I think this picture is like across the street from where a lot of Twin Peaks was shot, or at least where all the establishing shots for the diner were at. And because we went and had breakfast there, and that was a great time. There was a bunch of really cool ass shit we went and did. Oh yeah, I went to Left Bank Books. Left Bank Books is a anarchist bookstore in fucking Seattle. It's dope. If you're ever in Seattle, check it out. My friend Elton, the podcast host for Working Class Intelligentsia, and the organizer for Dead Parrots Philosophical Society in Boise, also the person who wrote the foreword to my book and then read that foreword aloud in the free audiobook that is available on podcasts everywhere for my book Waypoint. Elton, LK, is really great, and said that it was at Left Bank Books that he first found a Zizek book. And so, that's blurry. Anyway, so we're not going to watch too many pictures right now. The point of this little thing is to check out videos. And there are videos from today that I'm going to sit here and go through with you all, just to kind of show you some clips. But I have to do this thing again, called Step Away for a brief moment. And there's this part of me that's worried that no one's even here anymore. And so I asked people, if you're still around and planning on being here for the next half hour, I need to know. Otherwise, I'm only going to be communicating with people who are going to be watching this tomorrow or in the future. And so, tomorrow is the future, but I mean more broadly, the future. So, I don't know. Curious what that's gonna be like. So, why is it not showing me the thumbnails of the videos here on screen? I have a folder open for the people not looking on screen. All right, so welcome to a live stream. I'm going to be cleaning up this yard and listening to After Virtue by Alistair McIntyre. Maybe I'll decide to say some things about it later, but for now I'm just going to go ahead and start playing it. It's a classic and everyone should know about it. Oh my goodness! Is that the one I just ordered? Is that the replacement?
I don't know what it is, but it's yours, so.
Yeah, look at, oh, it's the, I was gonna set this up. Now I'm gonna be wearing it on my chest. Yeah. So my GoPro chest mount and head mount just arrived. That's Ashley, who I was talking about earlier. Love Ashley, she's an amazing person. She's the one with the kids, her and Ben, and this is their property. I live on it. And I ordered, so I'm buying all this GoPro stuff with money I don't have while I'm between jobs. So like, what the fuck am I even doing that? I don't even take donations from people at this point. Though my PayPal still works. I just don't ask for donations. And someone gave me $100 recently, and I should shout them out later. But anyways, I don't shout people out though unless they like tell me stuff. Like if it's just an anonymous donation, I'm not gonna like call them out. So anyway. Yeah, so I'm just fronting the money for this project because we're going to be building a production studio and then later some tiny houses. And so I need a bunch of GoPros and probably a drone replacement for the one that my boss broke that never paid me for. So to pay for the equipment, for the stuff that we're going to be showing you how to do, building tiny houses and production studios and stuff like that on your own, DIY, while listening to Theory, we're going to be using GoPros because GoPros have good microphones and they're well built. And so I'm actually, as far as commodities go, I would say that they are a noble commodity. It's something everyone needs to be able to have. It's something that people should have. I didn't know. I never messed with one before, and then as soon as I was using one, I was like, I want three. Because I'm trying to train people up in forms of literacy and I want to experiment with GoPros for a while. So I took it off of Fisheye. That's the first thing with GoPros. And okay, this is all going to be me experimenting. So I'm gonna go ahead. Can I queue up the next video here? Let's see. All right, it's official. I think that I can just do it like this. Queue up the next 3 videos, and then play with VLC Media Player. Okay. All right, it's official. We're experimenting with the chest cam. I'm really excited about this. It arrived right as I was starting, so this could not have been better timing. All right, folks. So I might be too shaky on the chest, but it's an experiment. I'm just experimenting. And then I'm also going to, and we might not be able to hear the audiobook very well. It's just an experiment. We might not be able to, and then on the head cam might be better than the chest cam. It's all an experiment. And so I hope that you're along the ride with me. But also, this is an experiment. Experiment 23 is the title of this live stream. And the reason that I'm doing that is because I'm just giving you all the sense that there's a bunch of experiments going on, and this is experiment 23 for this month, and I'm really stoked to kind of analyze the results with you all right now. So let's do it.
I've literally spent the last 2 hours setting up to get to work, but I had a bunch of things I had to get done first. And so anyway, we're going to start playing Alistair McIntyre's After Virtue, chapters 1 through 3, and I'm getting to it now. Here we go.
If there are good reasons to reject the central theses of After Virtue, by now I should certainly have learned what they are. Critical and constructive discussion in a wide range of languages, not only English, Danish, Polish, Spanish, Portuguese, French, German, Italian, and Turkish, but also Chinese and Japanese, and from a wide range of standpoints has enabled me to reconsider and to extend the inquiries that I began in After Virtue, and continued in U7 Holds Justice, U7 Hit Rationality, 3 rival versions of moral inquiry, and dependent rational laterals, but I have as yet found no the major contentions of After Virtue and teachable obstinacy. Accordingly, central to these reasons is the claim that it is only possible to understand the dominant moral culture of advanced modernity adequately from a standpoint external to that culture. That culture has continued to be one of unresolved and apparently unresolvable moral and other disagreements in which the evaluative and non-native utterances of the contending parties present a problem of interpretation. For on the one hand, they seem to presuppose a reference to some shared impersonal standard in virtue of which at most one of...
Okay, so people who are watching this with their eyes are walking around the yard, and there's like goats in the pen, and the chest cam is actually pretty good footage so far. But what I'm upset about, I'm not upset, but what I need to figure out is where's my playlist? Oh snap! I gotta go back.
All right. So
I'm gonna go back to where it was, and then it'll automatically start playing that next part. So yeah, Ashley gave me the chest cam and stuff like that. But I should have footage somewhere of when she showed me what work there was to be done, and so I'm wondering what's going on with that. Let's see.
Catalog that.
Oh, this is from when I was in this Airbnb with Anne. In North Bend, not it. Let's try this one. Oh, still in North Bend. Nope, not the one. So let's try. Jeez Louise. About to give up here. Apparently, I don't have it. So anyway, she walks me around. I've got to categorize all these videos later, and I was going to do that all on stream, but now I'm not going to. Now I'm just going to show you what I was doing. We're just going to listen to some of this audiobook, and we're going to check out this footage. But basically what I'm doing is I'm cleaning up the goat pen. This is really what I'm doing, is I'm helping them with the goat pen. So let's get back to it. Sorry for the echo.
A context in which moral judgments were understood as governed by impersonal standards justified by a shared conception of the human good. Deprived of that context, and of that justification, as a result of disruptive and transformative social and moral changes in the late Middle Ages and the early modern world, moral rules and precepts had to be understood in a new way and assigned some new status, authority, and justification. It became the task of the moral philosophers of the European Enlightenment from the 18th century onwards to provide just such an understanding. And what those philosophers who thus provided were several vital and incompatible points, using terms competing with standards, and told with them so that moral judgments, as they had now come to be understood, became essentially contestable, expressive of the attitudes and feelings of those who uttered them, yet still uttered as if there was some personal standard by which moral disagreement might be rationally resolved. And then left that such disagreements concerned not only the justification, but also the content of morality. This salient characteristic of the moral culture of modernity has not changed. And I remain equally committed to the thesis that it is only from the standpoint of a very different tradition, one whose belief centers the positions were articulated and their consequent form by its Not only is this evidently not so, but in those same arenas Aristotelianism is bound to appeal and disappearance just one more type of moral theory, one whose protagonists have as much as at the root of the theory of rivals as egalitarians, Indians, or conceptarians. Whether within the stable, back on the standpoint of an ongoing way of life informed by and expressed the Aristotelian concepts, it is possible to understand what the predicament of moral modernity is and why the culture of moral modernity lacks the resources to pursue. This is so moral inquiries, so that sterility and frustration are bound to afflict those unable to extricate themselves from those predicaments. What I now understand much better than I did 45 years ago is the nature of the relative world between living I was already an Aristotelian, but not yet a Thomist, something made plain in my accountable language at the end of chapter 13. I became a Thomist after writing after Breadtube, because I became convinced that Aquinas was in some respects a better Aristotelian than Aristotle, that not only was he an excellent interpreter of Aristotle's text, but that he had been able to expand and deepen both Aristotle's metaphysical and his moral inquiries, and regarded my standpoint in at least three ways. In After Virtue I have tried to present the case for a broadly Aristotelian account of the virtues without making use of or appeal to what I called Aristotle's metaphysical biology, as I was of course writing rejecting most of that biology. But I had now learned from Aquinas that my attempt to provide an account of the human good sharing in social terms, in terms of practices, positions, and the end of unity of human life, was bound to be inadequate until I provided it with metaphysical grounding. It is only that human beings have an expectation of directed by reason of specific nature, that practices, positions, and the reflection of their so I discovered that I had, without realizing it, presupposed the truth of something very close to the account of the past after the Italian preconception found in the first part of the Summa Theologia. What I also came to recognize was that my conception of human beings as virtuous or vicious rooted not only metaphysical, but also a biological grounding, although not an especially Aristotelian one. This I provided a good deal later independent rational animals, where I argued that the moral significance of the animality of human beings, as rational animals, can only be understood if our kinship to some species of not yet rational animals, including dolphins, is recognized. And in the same book I was also able to give a better account of the content of the virtues by identifying what I call the virtues of acknowledged dependence. Hence I do enter on Aquinas' discussion here in Recording as a question of impulses. Rational justification in the context of inquiry, or it is not a matter of possibility.
Hey, Ben. I see you've got some headphones in there.
Yeah.
What you listening to?
Nothing right now, because he's chatting and stuff like that.
Do you mind if I play what I was playing?
No, that's fine.
You might recognize it.
Really?
But I was playing it on the speaker instead of the headphones because I'm recording.
Yo, if everybody's gone to bed, I'm going to continue the stream tomorrow. That's what I'm going to do, because it's probably my bedtime. There's no one here. So I'm going to continue this tomorrow. Look, I've not been streaming a lot because I'm not a streamer. I've not been putting out a lot of video essays because I'm not a video essayist. I've not been doing any of these things because I'm not any of these things. I experiment with these things because I'm into critical media theory, and someday I'll write a book about it. But for the time being, you know, we do this, and I love doing this, and I'm really looking forward to tomorrow doing a morning stream where we're going to do the rest of this stream. I'll call it Experiment 23.2 or something like that, and it'll just be a continuation of me talking about that hybrid life, and about the big, honestly, a big part of the problem is that I can't tell you about so many parts of what about it. I'm rolling it out over time. So this is just a piece of something a lot bigger. If you're here at the ground floor, then that's a really exciting opportunity. In the long run, I'm hoping to have like a relatively close-knit community of people who are all doing this themselves. And we keep experimenting and dialoguing about it. And then there will also be people who are more interested in watching and thinking about it, and maybe they'll get it. They'll use some of our life hacks in like 10 years or whatever. And I'm going to probably put up a lot of effort buffers for people getting involved in the Discord once I get the Discord going. For right now, you should definitely be checking out nsplebe.substack.com and nspublishing.substack.com and patreon.com/The Dangerous Maybe, I'm pretty sure, for free Mikey. And besides all that, I've just got a lot of really cool stuff to show you. I'm really excited to show you. This whole video sequence that I was just starting is actually one I'll probably recap tomorrow once I've actually found the intro video to it. And then I'll probably wake up in the morning, and then I'm going to do something kind of like what I did today, which is I'm going to walk away from the keyboard and keep my eye on the chat and sip on my coffee and play videos from my little experiment that I did yesterday while just shooting the shit in the chat. And then eventually I'll start streaming more on Hybriteracy and some of the cool ass shit that's happening. And beyond just these videos, we'll probably also at some point get a chance to look at some of the stuff with the North Bend trip that I'm so excited to show you. But I also got to sort some of that stuff out. What I wish I had was, I wish Anne was here right now. I wish that she could be a part of this so that we could go through the North Bend stuff. So I'm probably going to wait on the North Bend categorizing and just, watching some really great clips. It's kind of like, it's gonna, what I'm doing, just so we can get back to Hybriteracy is like, it's like this, it's going to be almost like streams that sometimes are punctuated by like video essays and other kinds of stuff like that, but that more importantly are being done with the goal of kind of mining them later for stuff that would go into more polished videos that would probably get put on like I don't know, would be something that people can only get like at in-person events when Ann and I are on a NS Publishing book tour in the near future when we come to a city near you. So if that's something you're interested in, definitely subscribe to the NS Publishing Substack and the NS Plebe Substack. It's free. Nothing important will ever be behind the paywall. Nothing important that's not available elsewhere to people who have gotten through some effort buffers will be behind the paywall, right? So if there is something ever in the future that might be behind a paywall, it's going to be something that people who are a part of the meme gang and street team and mod chat side of things with this channel are going to still have access to. And so it's either, money is like it's evidence of someone having put effort towards something, hopefully productive, hopefully noble work. But if it's done in a sleazy way, well, look, I'm not going to judge. I need money. Just give it to me. But I also don't. It's like, look, you got to survive, all right? But if you're thriving over there, working at some like programming job, then you should probably drop a few $100 on me so that I can like pay a grant writer to try to get Michael Downs freed from wage labor, because we might be able to find a grant that would make that possible, but we can't do that without a grant writer, and we got to pay a grant writer. So you got to help me free Mikey. But also, if you're loaded, definitely get on his Patreon and pay him. Don't pay me. I don't need your money, unless you're just funding the grant writer, which is, if you're a patron on his Patreon, then you're funding the grant writer there. Because until he gets $3,000 a month on Patreon, he's not going to be freed from wage labor because he has a mortgage to pay and a mom to support. And so we need you to help get him to that $3,000. But until he's at that $3,000, we've got to take every dime that comes in to NS Publishing and to like any profit from NS Publishing, which is, you know, just like a made-up publishing company, and then anything that comes in through Mikey's Patreon is ultimately going to not paying for supplies or anything like that. No, it's just paying grant writers. And so if you haven't seen the stuff that I've got to say about #FreeMikey, well, I talk about it elsewhere on my channel and stuff like that, and you definitely need to know about it. You should certainly be checking out the stream that we did that was about Marxism. It was not too long ago, and it was a chat between myself and Michael, and we're talking about Marxism. And we do conversations about Lacan and other things as well. And so there's plenty more of that stuff to come, but there'd be a lot more of it if he didn't have to do wage labor. And obviously there would be more for me as well. I don't want to do wage labor, but I do want to do real work. I have a work ethic and I have a passion ethic, but the work ethic is not for jobs. I'm an anti-job work ethicist, so I just have a problem with jobs. Listen, wherever you are, whatever's going on, whatever you're going through in life, however overwhelmed or isolated or you feel, or I mean, maybe you're having a great day, and so, but wherever you're coming at this from in the future, in the morning, in the evening, afternoon, lunch, work break, whatever it is, wherever you are, whatever's going on, playing a game, unwinding, whatever, just know that you're not stupid, and that insofar as you might perhaps sometimes act that way or doubt yourself and put yourself down, you're not stupid, and you're not useless, and you're not lazy, and you don't deserve any place in a class society where almost everybody in the ruling class doesn't deserve where they're at. So I just wanted to say, like, look out for yourself, drink some water, don't believe the bullshit, don't believe the hype, challenge propaganda, deconstruct ideology, fucking stay safe out there, and, you know, I hope that you'll be back. I hope that you'll drop a comment in the comment section and let me know what your favorite segment was, or what a question is that you have, or some YouTuber that I might have forgot to mention that I should have checked out. And gosh, I really look forward to continuing this. So, good night.